You're watching the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Now it's time for the Brent Austen Show.
Hey, we're not in those studios today. It was always the Jags. Oh, remember the good old days? It was always the Jags. In fact, I was looking today at a Facebook memory from a year ago, and I'm talking to Dewey Wingard after the Pittsburgh win last season. That was October 29th of last year. And the Jaguars, I guess that would have been, I don't know what that would have been their record. Was that their fifth win in a row to get to 6-2 or something like that? I don't know. It was in that mix, right? But anyway, that was a year ago today. And holy cow, have things changed over the last 2 years when it was always the Jags and when Dewey Wingard, stole that terrible towel from the Pittsburgh faithful. And ever since then, I don't buy that, by the way, but I know a lot of people do. Hey, everybody, and welcome in. We are in the midst of a busy day here at the Winston Riverside YMCA, and it's High School Media Hoop Day put on by High School 912, and we partnered up with those guys, and we've got some fun stuff going on. High school basketball season in the month of December, so we're about 6 weeks away from the Fortegra Invitational. They announced the teams this morning. Get into a little bit more of that, who's playing a little bit later on, but we're going to actually show some of those games on our Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. We've done a couple of these media days now. We did football, of course, and now fall sports, and you add in high school basketball, and we show those on our Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. So a great opportunity for the kids and to meet with the media and get asked questions and talk about their team and their programs and themselves and where they're going. So we've got that going on today, and I think there are going to be 50 schools here in basketball today. So should be a lot of fun. We might interview one or two, but we have a whole nother set over here where we're doing all the interviews, and been here since early this morning doing that. So more to come on High School Media Day. Brent Austen Lane has made it through the parking lot here in Riverside, which is a tricky thing to do.
Yeah, tricky thing when there's nowhere to park, man. Well, no, don't. I mean, I'm trying to hear you because I can't hear you through the microphone. But yeah, man, a little trickiness getting here, especially when I got that Bullseye built F350. It's not parking friendly when you got a monster truck, but it's all good, man. Found a spot, parked across the street, and now we're here.
All right, so you look at this right here, and now you kind of slide which way you need to slide. I don't know which way that is, but there you go.
There we go.
We're in the picture. How's that? Looking pretty good. Much better. But yeah, there's some potholes out there in that parking lot too, man.
There's some potholes for sure.
I'm carrying the equipment through it. It's like falling all over the place.
mean,
they're fixing that parking lot off to the side.
Yeah, I mean, how you don't have like a VIP sticker to just get you the front of the building to carry the stuff up, man, is beyond me. Let's go.
They do have a nice ramp to get you up there. And
they
then
do have a great ramp
to get you up here to
sure.
the second one. It's a fantastic YMCA here at the Winston YMCA. One you've used quite a bit.
Oh, I'm here all the time, Brent. Yes.
Of course, Brett Martineau, Austen Lane, and my man Daniel Jones last night. Not so good, huh?
I mean, listen, this has been kind of the standard of the Giants and Daniel Jones. I'm not sure what that conversion was. Embarrassing. I mean, ridiculous. And then the whole dynamic with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields is interesting. I'm not sure how much of the game you watched, but, they said that they're kind of, they're best friends on the sideline. And growing up, Fields is kind of a fan of Russell Wilson. But I kind of see a little animosity because I feel like Fields still thinks that he should be starting, but regardless of that quarterback situation, the Steelers are winning. That's the most important thing. And I think that's a testament to Mike Tomlin of, kind of putting out that smoke a little bit while saying, hey, Fields, man, we appreciate you, but we brought Russell Wilson here for a reason. And you know what? So far, so good for Danger Russ.
Yeah, by the way, he's playing better ball overall. I said this yesterday. I was like, they're the only franchise to me. And Tomlin might be the only coach, and maybe Kansas City could do that. We'll see, but we won't see it. But they're the ones that can handle a quarterback controversy. I don't know many teams that can actually handle a quarterback controversy. It's a tough thing to handle. And Pittsburgh has waded through that thing pretty well. I mean, they start off with Fields. He wins football games and say, so what? We promised Russ. Yeah. And we don't even know if you might be better than Russ, but we're going to bring Russ in, and we're still going to win with Russ. It's really amazing. Justin Fields was the third quarterback last night. He wasn't even the backup quarterback in that football game. If there's one team to me that's going to figure it out, it's going to be Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
No, without a doubt. I mean, they've always kind of had that culture in place. And number two, it kind of helps when you have a defense that's going to always have your back.
Yeah.
I mean, their defense is is one of the best in the NFL, and that's kind of been their calling card for a while. You know, I mean, TJ Watt definitely makes that thing run, and Hayward as well. So, yeah, I mean, they're a very solid team. I think a team that a lot of people, maybe including myself, slept on a little bit because they play in such a hard division with the Bengals, with the Ravens, and, you know, we thought the Browns were going to be okay, probably a little better than what they're displaying right now, even though they just beat the Ravens. But the Steelers, man, are really the talk of that division right now.
That's unbelievable. The Steelers are 6-2. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
It does go back to being like who you are, right? Like they know who they are. I was thinking of this a little bit, even with Najee Harris when I'm watching. Like they want to be physical, right? They want to be tough. You got to be in that AFC North. That's the way that North plays. And even Najee Harris, who hasn't been great, like he's had moments, he's looked like he's going to be good, but overall he hasn't been great. And he fits them so well, right? Like him crashing into the line of scrimmage for even 3 yards, it fits what the Steelers are all about. Yeah. And they just know, I don't know, they always seem to get those guys. I don't know if the guys adapt to them or they just go find the guys that look like they should be Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that the Steelers have kind of a certain guy that they look for, you know, in terms of when they draft. I think, you know, Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs are kind of the same thing. You know, Reid loves speed. He loves players that can be dynamic, wide receivers that can play kind of all the spots and everything and run gadgets. I think when we talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, if it's on offense, yeah, you got to be a hard-nosed dude a little bit. I mean, we saw the whole fallout with Bell. You know, they didn't want to pay Bell what he wanted. He sits out. He goes to New York, and essentially his whole career collapsed on itself. Same thing with Antonio Brown. You know, Antonio Brown was, if not the best wide receiver in Pittsburgh for a while, maybe a little bit of a distraction. It is what it is. He didn't fit their mold. He goes other places, has some moderate success, but obviously, I mean, nothing like he had in Pittsburgh. So I just think in terms of mentality, in terms of playing style, the Pittsburgh Steelers look for a certain type of dude, and guess what? It's been working.
Yeah, you know, going back to what you said about Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, like is there something there or whatever? Could there be something there? It's dangerous in the NFL. Like, it's not it's in sports. It's not a business where you usually promise guys anything, right? But it's pretty crystal clear. They told Russell Wilson, and I forget who else was courting him a little bit, but they told Russell Wilson, you're going to be our number one guy. Sure. And even when we get Justin Fields, you're going to be our number one guy. Like, we're going to try to develop Fields. Here's the situation, you know, and that's what they're living up to in their word. It just reminds me a little bit of here in Jacksonville where it's like, okay, the story has been, and I don't know if anybody can spin it any way they want, that basically they promised Eric Armstead that he can play the edge. I mean, you know what I mean? So, like, you got to be careful. It's an odd thing to promise players this or that, but it also is a prime example of what we're talking about with the Steelers and maybe versus the Jags or these kind of situations. Like, no, you're coming here and you're playing what we need you to do, not what you want to do.
Yeah,
we're paying you money for what we need you to do.
But I also feel like if Eric Armstead would have had, you know, 3 or 4 sacks the first couple of games, that defensive tackle, they would have just said, hey, you know what, you're not playing defensive end anymore because you're making, you know, you're balling out at defensive tackle. Kind of like Justin Fields, who, you know, I mean, he had his ups and downs, but he was winning football games, and he had a pretty. You know, he had a couple games where he kind of put the team on his back and won it. So I think from Fields, you go from being a starter in Chicago where they kind of did you dirty, they didn't really take care of you, set you up for success. You go to Pittsburgh and you're back to winning, like you're back to doing your thing. And then all of a sudden Russ Wilson comes back and it's like, all right, I mean, we appreciate you winning our football games, but now you have to go sit back on the sidelines. I can see from Justin Fields' perspective how it might be a little frustrating because he was playing pretty well, and they were winning football games.
Yeah, that's a good point, though. Yeah, you got off to that good start. Hey, the Jaguars health-wise, obviously we know Christian Kirk's done for the year. How do I say this in a nice way? That's the worst news of it. It's bad news. It's not good news at all, but it's actually overall the Jags coming out of that game Sunday, it feels better than I thought it was going to feel. Because obviously you lose Kirk, it's a devastating blow, but Brian Thomas Jr. does not look as significant as even reports were yesterday. If you believe words coming out of the locker room, the Jags, Doug Peterson and Brian Thomas Jr., according to Mike DiRocco, he talked to Brian Thomas Jr. yesterday and said, hey, I think he might be able to play by the end of the week. It's not that big a deal. Yeah. There was a report from Fowler that said 2 to 4 weeks. What that tells me is there's going to be a dance here later this week about whether they think he should play against Philadelphia or not. I wouldn't be shocked if he missed that game. I don't know that. But long term, at least, it's not a major deal for Brian Thomas Jr. He survives a scare. Otherwise, we'll see about Ezra Cleveland, right? They get Dewey back. I think they're going to get him back this week is my guess. They had Foyer back, Tyson Campbell. I mean, overall, the Jags, despite having a huge injury there, are not in that bad of a situation. And even there, you have Parker Washington, who we kind of wanted to see more of anyway. Now, I'm not saying this is the circumstance, but you kind of wanted to see more. The Jags maybe survived what looked like a devastating Sunday, and could be okay at least to see where they're going and down the road the next few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with Christian Kirk, we've alluded to this. He's Trevor's, best friend or whatever, so that could affect Trevor Lawrence a little bit. It seemed like, it's been kind of an up and down season with Christian Kirk, and now you got to start having the conversation of, is he getting more injury prone? Right, because this is a guy who was very consistent in Arizona. He comes to Jacksonville, has that good first year, and now all of a sudden he's got the injury bug a little bit. And you have a guy in Parker Washington that, yes, everybody wants to see. And I think in terms of wide receivers on this ball team, I think Christian Kirk, with all due respect, was the one that if he was to go down for a while or extended period of time, or now for the whole season, you're okay because you have a guy in Parker Washington who's just thirsting for reps, who's trying to showcase his skill set, and let's call a spade a spade. I think we're trying to see it as well, to see, can we rely on Parker Washington now for years and years to come? And it's Christian Kirk, unfortunately, maybe a little bit of a cap casualty where it's like, all right, let's go with the younger direction now.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation, right? The Jags are sitting here 2-6. We're wondering, a week away from the deadline, are they going to trade some guys away? Are they going to start to showcase some of the other guys? Well, naturally, look what's happened in Jacksonville. You actually are showcasing some younger guys. Tank Bigsby over ETN. Brenton Strange had to get in there for Ingram. Showed himself a little bit. Parker Washington has to get in there for Kirk. Heck, even Cooper Hodges had to play a little bit last week. Now, we need a bigger sample of that.
Yeah.
And then Walker Little, it looks like they've made the decision to say, we're going to look a little bit at the future. So the Jags, oddly enough, I think they're still trying to win. This isn't like, hey, just put the young guys in and see what you've got. But it's worked out that they're actually getting a peek at younger guys on the offensive end to see what they have in the future. And you're starting to get confidence that some of these guys can work long term.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about right now, right? Because, and we'll see how these next couple games goes, but one would assume that they're probably not going to go so well, and eventually you're going to maybe have 5-6 wins this season. You have to tear it all down. I mean, when you tear it all down, you still want to keep some of those guys that have shown promise, that want to earn a starting spot, that want to compete. And I think you have a couple of those guys now with Brenton Strange. I was Tank Bigsby. I mean, we'll see what Travis Etienne with the plan's going to be, but Tank Bigsby's kind of earned himself now as maybe the bona fide starter. And then Parker Washington, who's probably showed the most in preseason. Now you get to see him a little more in the regular season as well.
Yeah, on the defensive side of that, we saw some of the young guys, or they tried to work them in, or they just have to work them in. Antonio Johnson obviously gives you some pause there. Whether it's the Moomas and the Lloyds of the world, but now we're getting a chance to see Ventrell Miller. What was the other one I was just thinking of? Jarian Jones, right? I think Monteric Brown. I guess these guys have done a pretty good job. So where are you in the mental space of these guys have done a pretty good job, but it's still not good enough? They're not talented enough in spots because, some of those are hey, not bad. I didn't have super high expectations on a Monteric Brown, right?
Yeah.
Or even Ventrell Miller playing this way. It's a nice surprise. But you can get tricked into thinking, okay, well, that's the NFL standard, or that's what it takes to be great in the NFL. And I don't know if we have that. I mean, we might have been tricked on this whole roster that way, right? I mean, highly paid players that we thought are very good, amongst the better players in the National Football League, and it's turned into 2-6 so far.
No, I think there's a lot of intrigue just because of, the bad's been pretty bad. So when you throw in a new guy and he starts playing well, like a Ventrell Miller, it's oh, wow, this guy's all world just because – the other wasn't that good. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely an upgrade. Now, is it an NFL caliber Pro Bowler? Probably not, right? But right now you can take what you get. And I think they have a couple of guys who can show that if they keep on getting the reps and the coaching and everything, they can solidify themselves as a starter on this team. Let me ask you about Dewey. Do you put Dewey in a starting role right away, in a starting capacity, or you just kind of work him back in? Because this is a guy, once again, we talk about energy and kind of bring, I'm not sure the skill set is a Pro Bowler, but I think the attitude and what he brings, in that locker room is, do you bring him out right away and put him as a starter? Do you work him in? Is he a backup special teams guy? How do you see using Dewey going forward?
Yeah, I think he goes right in there. Well, I do think he goes right in there, though. Yeah, I don't think you're getting good enough play from your safeties.
But then who's going to come out? We taking Cisco out?
You probably move Savage back to the nickel spot,
okay.
Right? I think you probably what I would say, I think I said this last week when I was talking about Dewey, and I kind of like it. Now, again, Jarian Jones comes up with a nice pick, and I think he's playing okay football. I don't know how good a football he's playing, but I think he's playing okay football. I actually think their corners, I was just telling somebody today, their corners, I think have played pretty well. Like the style that Nielsen wants to play at the cornerback spot, like there'll be a lot of guys that go back there and their first read is not there.
Sure.
Like it's shut down. Now, has the pass rush worked with that enough? Not necessarily. Have they been beat on explosive plays? Yeah, but have we pinned that more on the safeties, it feels like?
Yeah.
I mean, the one-on-one stuff, I mean, even Tyson the other day down there in the end zone several times, nice plays, right? I mean, good coverage. Monteric Brown has had good coverage. Darby at times looks a step slow. He's looked a step slow. But Jarian Jones makes a great play, great break on the ball, and nice play. So I don't know if I want to take him out, but I just think you become more veteran. If you're trying to win right now, if you're Doug and you're Nielsen trying to figure it out, and man, does it look bad right now for that defense, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get my veteran guys on the field that know what to do. I want Wingard out there, and then I'll move Savage to nickel where basically he wants to play anyway. It seems like that's part of the reason he came down here.
Yeah.
And now you got Foye back and the Tyson's back, and now you've got a defense that's played a lot of football out there. So I think that's where I would go. But I do think just sitting down Jarian Jones might not be the best thing either. I mean, I want to see. I would say I'd probably like to see a little bit more of him, but you're not going to sit down Savage. Do you sit down Cisco and move Savage to free safety or Dewey to free safety? Or?
Yeah, I mean, it's harder to justify sitting Jarian Jones because I think he might have had one of his better games.
I know.
On Sunday, and he is the guy that you want to get more reps so you can see like going forward exactly what he can do. In the future. Cisco, I think, hasn't really been playing up to his capabilities. I mean, we're ready to say, hey, do we offer this guy an extension during the preseason? Well, I think those days are long gone now. So I don't know, Brent. I mean, it's a great question. I think moving Savage to the nickel, because you can't justify paying Savage what you're paying him and then say, hey, man, thanks for coming, but now you're going to sit out. Like, that's hard to justify. If you're Trent Baalke, that's not good business, and that doesn't make you look good either in terms of your free agent class, which is already not necessarily looking the best, it feels like sometimes. Man, it's hard, but I really wonder if that is kind of like, and I hate to say this, rotate them in.
Well, they might do that. I mean, you can play some three safety looks. I don't know if we've seen that very often, but those guys are so versatile. You can move them in a bunch of different spots. So maybe there is a little rotation potential there. Again, I know we don't love that idea, but I do think that's still overblown. Like we said yesterday after our show, we were talking to Hamby. It's like 90% of the snaps for Trayvon and Josh, I think.
Yeah.
Like these guys are playing most of the snaps. I think Armstead played a lot fewer snaps. So you might be able to mix them in, but it's an interesting call. I'm with you. I want to get Dewey on the field just from I just feel like he's going to make something happen.
Just need something new, I feel like.
Infuse something. But Doug did say yesterday he's not going to just throw him out there for the whole game. They did the same thing with Tyson in London. They watched his snap count, try to get him back into football shape, if you will, which I understand that. And Wingard hasn't played like anything in like 3 months outside of practices now over the last couple of weeks. So I would suggest that even if he starts, he's not going to play the full load of plays. It'll be an interesting balance. But Wingard brings up, I mean, it's an interesting part. They have made a big change. It kind of went under the radar in London, is they took Antonio Johnson off the field, and they moved Savage back to safety. So, like, they made a move already. They were not happy with him, obviously, in the way he's playing, the inconsistencies of his play. Could they do that again with a Cisco or somebody else? I don't know who the next person on that chopping block would be to be like, all right, you're not getting it done enough. So it's going to be interesting to watch. We already have these conversations about like the Mason Smith and everybody else. Like nobody's playing well enough on the interior of the defensive line. I would say safety and interior of the defensive line are the two spots right now where I'm like, okay, if you could get somebody else in there to make an impact, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and I think linebacker was at that spot. Then kind of Ventrell Miller made an appearance. Now you got Foye Lukin back, so it seemed to be shored up a little more. But I agree with you. I think those are the two spots right now, safety and interior, which are a giant issue. And those are two spots that we're supposed to be addressed really in free agency and in this offseason.
Yeah, it's really weird because you do go around and you're like, okay, I don't think this guy's playing bad. Same thing with the offense, right? Yeah. Like they're doing this, but then boom. Yeah, 51 yards. And we are going to paint the play today, presented by That One Painter First Coast on that play. I can't wait till you diagnose that. There's a lot going on in that play, and there's a lot going on in the Green Bay sideline for that play. If you missed any of it, we'll get into that coming up in just a little bit. This is a great question, too. Chad brings up, what's going on with Gibson, Tayshaun Gibson? Last I heard, the NFL didn't reinstate him, but an end timetable given. It's a fantastic question. I have no idea. He was scheduled to come off 2 weeks ago. And I remember in London, I asked, it was a report by Tom Pelissero that said he wasn't going to be reinstated. And then I asked Doug about it, and of course, they were like very hands off on that stuff. It's a league thing. Yeah. But they didn't know. And they didn't get reinstated. So then you're like, okay, he'll get reinstated before the Green Bay game. Nope. Okay. Well, it's Tuesday. Is he? I haven't looked. I haven't seen anything yet. But is he still not? What is going on with Tayshaun Gibson? Did he fail another test? Would you get suspended again, or do you just stay on the suspension list? Like, this is really odd that he served his suspension at 6 games. Yeah. And now that's turned into 7, 8 games, and maybe 9.
Yeah, I mean, I find it very eerie. Like, the fact that there hasn't been any reports doesn't lead me to believe that he's failing a drug test, because if he did, I feel like that would be breaking news, right? Like, they would announce that. I mean, I have no idea. Obviously, that's going to be a question for a press conference for Doug to ask, like, hey, where is he at and what's going on? I mean, all I can think of is, like, when you have that situation with Tayshaun Gibson, I assume there's more, like, protocols in terms of drug testing and everything. Maybe he missed a drug test. Maybe he didn't follow the protocol correctly, and that's what we're dealing with right now, but I have no idea.
Yeah, like you're right. It's almost like you're on probation, right?
Yeah,
so then you got to follow up and do things.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. How much is he going to help? Like, I don't know where I'm at with Tayshaun Gibson, to be honest. Like, I don't. He's been a good player in the league.
Yeah, it's been a while, obviously, but at the same time, I mean, the more competition and the more looks that we can get from different guys, I feel like in practice to try to elevate the play at safety, the better, I think.
Yeah, and just so you know, one other thing about the Gibson story is they took him to London. Like, they asked the league, they can take him to London like they did with Cam Robinson year prior. Yeah. And the league was like, yeah. And then didn't reinstate him.
Yeah.
So odd. Like, it's a really odd, it's a great question, Chad, and I'm not sure the answer. And like, I know Austen just said, well, we'll see if Doug says anything or sheds light. He's not going to shed light on it. Like, it's a league matter. He's not going to do it. Yeah. He didn't even know. When I asked him in London, he was kind of like looking off to John Dever, the PR guy, like, I don't even know. Like, they don't get updates on this. This isn't a conversation. It's like, well, tell us when he's ready. Yeah. And that's about it. But, I mean, maybe they do know more that they can say. I'm assuming they know at least a little bit more. Mm-hmm. But really odd that Tayshaun Gibson has not come back in the fray for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Again, I don't know if it makes that much of a difference. The Jags will get Dewey back, and we kind of feel like that one could make a little bit of a difference for the Jags defense. Let's take a timeout here on the Brent Austen Show. We're live at the Riverside YMCA, the Winston YMCA, and this place is packed. It's hopping here with High School Media Day. About 50 different high school hoop teams, girls and boys from around the area. That's put on by High School 912, and we'll have a little bit more information on the Fortegra Invitational coming up and what we're doing with that as well. We're excited about it on the Action Sports Shacks 24/7 network. It's a Tuesday edition of the show. Was it that foggy out?
Where's the Seattle? Man, it's rough right now, bro.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
Teams in a fog. It's a lot you can play off here. We'll be right back. It's a new logo, new branding. With Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. It's hot, Florida in the summer. You can't do much to avoid it, but you can keep cool with Bold City Heating and Air. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who is coming to your house. You know they will be well trained, and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at boldcityac.com. Stay cool while it gets hot. Bold City Heating and Air can help. Don't get caught sweating all summer. boldcityac.com, and they have financing to help. New systems starting at $110 a month and $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bolt City Heating and Air at BoltCityAC.com. Homegrown in your hometown.
Building off a summer of terrific action at Southern Oaks Stadium, the Jacksonville Armada are looking forward to the future and the return of pro soccer in Northeast Florida. Season ticket reservations for MLS Next Pro are underway, and for just $100, you can lock in some great benefits when it comes to supporting the boys in blue. Those who make a reservation will have first selection options in the new Armada Stadium out east, near Jacksonville's downtown sporting complex, as well as access to supporter VIP events like stadium tours, open training sessions, and future meet and greets with players and coaches. You can make your season ticket reservations at jacksonvillearmada.com/ticket. And while you're there, read the very latest on the Armada men's and women's teams in action this summer. Show your commitment to the fleet with an MLS Next Pro season ticket reservation at jacksonvillearmada.com/ticket.
In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jacks team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580. It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to Spring Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence. You can bring your party or event to Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield. Welcome to Everbank Stadium. We call the stadium the bank. Here inside the Jaguars locker room, this is called the Vault. The Vault is a special place on game days. You can feel the energy and excitement as the Jaguars get ready to take the field. And Everbank has made a way for Jaguars fans to be a part of the action. Each home game, Everbank will select a winner and a guest to be a part of the Shadows. Be there up close and personal when the Jaguars leave the Vault to take the field. Not only that, the Vault Lounge provides a VIP pregame tailgate experience. High-end food, beverages, music, and more. Want a chance to be part of a VIP experience at a Jaguars game? Enter today at everbank.com/shadows, and you could find yourself in the shadows with the Jaguars.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
Well, you're taking a look at High School Basketball Media Day here at the Winston YMCA in Riverside, and just announced a short time ago the Fortegra Basketball Invitational coming up December 12th through the 14th. And here are the teams that will participate: Andrew Jackson, Tokoi Creek, Nice, University Christian, Fleming Island, Riverside, Bowles, Creekside, and the word on the street is University Christian is one of the best teams in the area. So we'll see some quality basketball on December 12th, 13th, and 14th. And the cool thing about that is we will have the semifinals and final action scheduled to appear right here on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. That's Austin Lane. And who is that?
Wyatt Walker, man.
Former Providence Stallion.
A former Providence Stallion. I think now he's at Episcopal coaching the women's basketball team. So, yeah, we're training partners. We do jiu-jitsu together. He's actually coming off of a little bit of an injury right now, so he hasn't been in the gym in a bit, but great talking to him, man. Obviously, anytime that I can train with a guy that's taller than me and longer than me, it's a good situation, man. So
I was going to say, yeah, what's he, about 6'7"?
I would probably put him at 6'7", 6'8". Yeah. Yep. And his reach, I mean, like when we're sparring together, because we actually do some stand-up together as well. Let's just say he's probably got me like 3 inches in the reach as well. So
now is he doing that for like competitive? Like, is he into it, or is he doing it more for, hey, I'm going to get in shape and this is what?
No, I mean, it's definitely competitive. We competed in a tournament together, and we met each other in the semifinals in jiu-jitsu.
Really?
Yeah, so he's definitely doing it for competitiveness. You know, I mean, this is a guy who played at NC State, had some looks at the NBA. Unfortunately, didn't get the NBA look, but played in the G League a little bit.
Okay.
And then, still kind of has that competitive itch and everything. So he still plays summer league basketball as well with his brother, but then he also does jiu-jitsu as well.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I always say this about basketball, the basketball scene, and we know some of it, but I definitely, this is a fun day for us to come to and get reintroduced to it, and also see some of the people. We don't know it like football, and we don't know it even for me like baseball and softball. Like, they're just sports, obviously, you know a little bit better than others, even when we cover it. And it's kind of like a shame on us type of deal. The basketball season here in Jacksonville gets lost in football season, because by the time like the Jags are done, whether they're good or not, but if they're really good, then it's really goes into deeper January. And the way we fire people around here, we're always deeper January anyway.
Yeah.
So by the time you get to that, I mean, high school basketball season's almost over. I mean, they're starting up here. Like, they just hit the practice floor. So I always feel bad for high school basketball in the area. I just wish we had more bodies and more people to be able to do even more with it. Yeah. Especially because I come from areas where high school basketball was awesome and was big. It was the biggest thing. It was bigger than football. I was working in Albany, New York. I mean, high school college basketball was, I would say, just as big as like high school football, because they had Siena and Albany mid-majors, and those were two of the big things. So you the recruiting scene, the coaching scene, and everything else. So I always feel bad a little bit, so it's great to be able to be here at the High School Hoops Media Day. And again, we're going to have hours and hours of coverage of this, and everybody always looks at us funny. It's like, oh, when do we slide over? Because there's a bunch of tables set up. So everybody's like, hey, do we slide in? No, you don't slide in here. This is just our show we're hosting. Slide in right over there, and then we'll play it for a few hours on our Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network, which we did this weekend with Fall Sports Media Day. We've done it, did it months ago with High School Media Day, and we'll do the same for all the moms and dads and coaches and kids out there. You'll be able to see some of the folks that are here doing interviews. Probably next weekend we'll have that up on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7.
Got Apollo shout out here on the stream, man. Yeah, first 50-point game of the year. It goes to the Orlando Magic, man. Who would have first saw that coming? But that dude's really coming into his own now, man. I mean, he kind of showed some glimpses last year of kind of being a superstar, and well, he's off to a pretty good start this year.
Well, it's interesting. That caught my attention, and it usually doesn't.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just saw it on Twitter. He had like 37 or 36 in the first half, and he had like 6 assists and 7 rebounds or whatever in the first half.
Yeah.
And I think I saw Tim Reynolds tweet this out. That stat line had only been done like 4 times in Magic history in a game.
Yep.
And he had done it in the first half.
Yep.
It does feel like they really hit on him.
Oh, without a doubt.
I mean, he's going to be a very good player for a long time.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, I think like a lot of rookies out there, you know, maybe kind of off to a little bit of a slower start and you're waiting to see. But I definitely think he's kind of filling that role now, man, of being where he was drafted. He's going to be a special player for the Magic. And that's the thing, man. Like we've seen the NBA, all it takes is, you know, one and a half special players on a team. And then they can drastically, you know, change the entire team. And right now, playing at a very high level. You know, competition, I mean, the Grizzlies kind of put up to them a little bit with Ja, but they're 3-1 right now, man, and then they're doing pretty well. So
yeah, I think the Magic have, like, it's nice to see them kind of competitive.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's been a long time.
It's been a long time coming.
I mean, how far away are they like from being really, really good?
I mean, it's
because right now it's the Celtics and everybody else in the East.
Well, it's Celtics, and the Cavs for whatever reason. I mean, the Cavs are really doing their thing. They're undefeated right now as well. Yeah, I mean, look, it's still too early to tell like what teams are going to be, but I think the Magic have a shot to, at least make the playoffs. Now, can they compete with the Celtics? Can they compete, with the Cavs? I mean, right now the Bucks are not playing well, so I can't even put them in the category. But like, they're not an elite team per se. But once again, just like I said, I mean, you see what Ant did for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think, Powell can do the exact same thing for the Magic.
Yeah. Now listen, Hamby's burner. Jaguars need to take some notes from the Magic front office. They've been on a steady incline for the past few years. I mean, you could have said the same thing about this organization about 10 months ago. So it changes fast, right? I mean, It looked like the Jags were on a steady incline and doing well. So I don't know if people are taking notes on Orlando just yet. I get what you're saying, but it's been a miserable 10, 12, 15, shoot, maybe more for Orlando, much like it has for Jacksonville in the big picture of things. And even the Jags have at least popped a couple of different times. Magic haven't even had really much of that. So it's nice that they're potentially. I wish they were really good, because what I've always wondered in our town, and I say this kind of every time we talk about it, but would we get excited about the Magic here in Jacksonville? Would we pop down through a game? It's easy to go to game. We don't have that, right? You don't have that. The one thing about, you could say in Orlando about the Jags, they got the Bucks. They also have college football. They got football right in their own backyard. Like, there's football to go to. Yeah. But we don't have the NBA. Yeah. So, like, if we're going to go to the NBA, that's the closest thing. It's just been kind of a waste of time to go to it.
Yeah, it's wild. Like, my friends that grew up here and everything, they almost seem to be more Heat fans than actually Magic fans. Maybe that's a little bit of, like, LeBron when he went there and everything, where, obviously you can get on the bandwagon a little bit. But I thought at least
been good. The others hasn't.
Well, of course, and the Heat are still a damn good team. So yeah, I feel like I see a lot more Heat fans around here than I do Magic fans. But hey, if the Magic can start winning, man, and start having some success, that could change around.
By the way, so I'm going to Philadelphia this weekend for the Jags. And we're going early because of Florida, Georgia, so we're leaving like earlier in the morning. So we'll be there, I think, like around, let's just say we're around noon.
Break out the cheesesteaks.
It's a heck of a weekend in Philadelphia if you're from a sports fan. And I'm debating whether to try it. I got to see what the schedule looks like anyway. But obviously we got the game on Sunday. But on Saturday is Penn State, Ohio State, which isn't right in Philly. I'm not going to that because I think that's a noon kick. There's no way we'd get there. But
they're going to do a noon kick, huh?
I think they're doing it. Fox likes their big noon kickoff game.
Yeah, but I mean, Penn State at night is like, that's the place to be.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, but anyway,
but so there's that. But then there's the Flyers are playing at 1.
Okay.
And the Sixers are playing the Grizzlies at 7:30. So, like, I'm not a Philadelphia sports fan, but I could go to the Flyers, Sixers, Eagles game in a weekend.
I'm not mad at that, man. Make it happen. Make it happen, especially because who are the Sixers? They're playing the Grizzlies?
I think
that'll be a good game.
I think somebody said they're playing the Grizzlies.
Go and see Ja.
That's what I was thinking of you.
Get that Murray State credential.
Go see Ja. Let's see, what's that day? Saturday? Let's go check it out. Let's get our planning. If you're going up to Philadelphia, this is something you get. Grizzlies, yeah.
Grizzlies, there we go.
All right. And then in hockey, hey, one thing about, like, my sport, I'm on ESPN.com, right?
Yeah.
And look what, instead of the standings, look what it says.
Stats?
It says table.
Table, okay.
You know why? Because for some reason, my ESPN has not come off London time.
Oh,
Look,
I got
still
you.
on the UK.
So that's what they call it. They call it the table, huh?
Oh, yeah, like the soccer standings are called the table.
Gotcha, okay.
But it's weird. I haven't really researched it well, but I can't get it back to the U.S.
I'm going to tell you right now, if the Flyers are playing the Wings, I'm actually going to make that trip to Philly. I'm not even lying.
See, Ja,
I'll pay my own way.
I don't think it's the Wings.
I'll pay my own way.
Let's see. Bruins. It's the Bruins.
That's a good one. Yeah.
That's what I knew that. Somebody said that to me.
Okay.
I don't know. Hockey games are expensive to go to, though.
Yeah, they can be a little pricey.
I have not been to an NHL game in, oh my gosh, it would have to be, it might be like, I bet I did it in Providence when I was working in Providence. I bet it's 20 years. If I didn't go in Providence, though, it would have been more like I went as a kid
Who would you go to in Providence? Who's your team to go see?
We were going to see the Bruins.
Oh, the Bruins. Okay,
Yeah,
that's the closest. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm thinking like New York or something. But that's a little more ways away, obviously.
Yeah, New York's probably about 2.5.
Okay.
And then back in the day when I was a kid, like early on, Hartford was still there.
Oh,
not
yeah.
far from Connecticut.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, all the Boston teams are about an hour from Providence.
Gotcha.
So we would definitely go. We went to Red Sox games.
Yep.
Foxborough was always like only 25, 30 minutes away. It's in between Boston and Providence.
Yeah.
And Celtics games we went to. Of course, I was a huge Celtics fan, but I was never like a diehard Bruins fan, but I watched them like every night. I'd flip back and forth between the Celtics and the Bruins this time of year. But I don't know if I definitely covered the Celtics when I was in Providence working. I don't know if I covered a Bruins game. I can't remember it.
Okay.
But I definitely did go to a game or two as a kid at the old Garden, which is cool. So I know we looked into going to Nashville a couple of years ago. But the tickets were nuts. I was like, screw this. I ain't going to want to play it.
Well, in Nashville,
like $180 for a ticket.
Yeah, in Nashville, the Preds became like kind of the hot thing. Like they're, and I've said this before on this show, but it's almost like, if you're like a celebrity or a country artist or a musician, whatever the case may be, like it's almost like there's FOMO of like missing out because like when the Predators are doing really well, it's like, I got to be a part of it. Now, were they hockey fans? Not really. I think they just want to kind of keep up on appearances a little bit. It's like going to hockey games in LA, like how many fans are there really? Or are you just trying to go to keep up on appearances?
It's interesting you say that because they came out of the blue and won so quick. It seemed like they kind of built something fast in Nashville. Mm-hmm. Lightning, I don't know how fast it is, but they definitely built something in Tampa. Seattle has done it quickly.
Vegas did it. Vegas won.
did it overnight. They won.
Yeah.
So is hockey the easiest sport to like kind of build it up quick, whether it's winning, but also like make it like the FOMO thing? Like you don't want to not be a part of it.
God, I wish, but the Wings, it's taken them, 10 years to try to build it back up to go to the playoffs? So, no, it is wild how, like, we talk about expansion teams, right? How we talk about the NHL, they've definitely had the most success. I mean, I'm not sure how the NFL compares. I know the Jaguars got off to a hot, off the gate pretty hot.
That's a good point, yeah.
But, I mean, they didn't go to a Super Bowl or anything. So, yeah, it is kind of wild, and I don't know what the key to it is exactly of, if you have an expansion team in the NHL, like right now you have Utah, and I'm not sure, I can't remember what Utah's record is right now, but I think they're doing okay. You could have some success.
Yeah, I think a little of the hockey stuff, like the ability to build it, all that, it has to do with, you only put 17,000 in. Now, basketball's a little bit like this too, but I don't know, it feels like in hockey you just get 17, 18,000 there and boom. Yeah. It's electric.
Yep.
Basketball, you can. It can be electric at basketball. Would you rather go to a basketball, NBA game or a hockey game?
What would I rather go to?
NHL or NBA?
Are we talking about like with my teams or just like a random game, like with any? You know what I'm saying?
Who's your Milwaukee?
Bucks.
So you'd rather go to a Bucks game than a Wings game?
No, I'd rather go to a Wings game all day over the Bucks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. Would you rather go to a...
if you're talking to me right now, like, would I rather go to the Flyers and the Bruins or the 76ers and the Grizz? I'm definitely going to the NBA game. Because right now the Flyers are really struggling. They're not that good. Yeah. And obviously Ja, I think, is must-see TV. And the 76ers they're underachieving right now with injuries and stuff, but they're still a pretty solid team. Like they'll be in the conversation when the season's done for the Eastern.
What if I told you what if that game at night was the Heat game? It was Heat Sixers. Would you still pick that?
Yeah, I would probably lean there.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know why though? Because you're hitting on something here. Like I wouldn't mind if I go to that game on Saturday night, the Sixers game. I'm going to watch Ja.
Yeah, of course.
Right. I just feel like in the NBA, you're going to watch the player.
Yep.
Like that star player feel because he's so much more impactful than in hockey.
Of course.
Right. But I will say this: like I want to take Ty or go to a Tampa game in the playoffs and Lightning. Because it looks like an electric atmosphere. No, I don't care who's playing. It just looks like an electric atmosphere.
Listen, we went last year when the Wings played in Tampa, and we took my son there, and they didn't really have anything to really play for at that time. It was towards the end of the season. It was still a great atmosphere. Like we had a blast. Tampa fans show out, and I get it. Once again, you've had a lot of success, and you've had some great runs. But Tampa fans show out there. I was very impressed. Now, it helps when you play Detroit, who's obviously an original 16 or whatever like that. It'll get you fired up a little bit. But, yeah, it was a great experience there in Tampa.
It is weird to see. I guess I don't know how we got all on this, but we'll put a bow on this with this. The Wings are weird to see be bad.
Yes.
Right? Like, it's funny, like the Knicks seem like it's weird to see them bad for this long, but it's not necessarily in my mind weird to see them bad. Like they were good at times during my childhood and stuff, and obviously they got a rich history. Yep. But the Wings were like always good when I was a kid, like and well beyond even when I was in college and early on when I got in the business. I'm trying to think of other teams that are strange. Like, can you think of an NFL team right now that's weird to see bad? Like the Jets, it's not weird to see them bad.
No, that's the tradition.
The Browns, it's not weird to see them bad. It's actually more weird to see some of the teams good, like the Bills and when the Browns are good or something like that.
No, like as a comparison, like it would like the Wings being this bad for this long, and when I say this bad, like not making the playoffs, it's almost like if you could imagine the Packers being bad for a long time, or the Pittsburgh Steelers being bad for a long time. It's not feasible, right? Because there's just so much tradition, there's so much culture, there's so much winning that maybe you have an off year this year maybe some injuries happen, but like you're not going to have sustained disappointment. That's what Detroit's had.
Yeah, it's really odd.
Yeah.
And I can't get another team I'm trying to think like that's weird to see bad. Like Big League Baseball doesn't happen very often because they pay for it, right?
Yeah,
the big market teams are going to at least compete because they're going to spend a ton of money. So you don't see it in baseball. Hockey would say the Wings.
Yeah.
The NBA, is there a team like the Lakers and Celtics would be these teams? I mean, for some, the Bulls might be it because of Jordan. But they don't have like the crazy history like the Celtics and Lakers have.
True.
You know? And then I guess in the NBA, like it was weird to see the Warriors good, honestly.
Yeah.
And then they, so I don't know. I honestly think the one that we're talking about here, the Wings, is the oddest one going.
It is, man.
They're an oddball in sports right now.
You are wrong.
Because how long are we talking about?
Man, I think we're on 12 years ago, 12 or 13. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's odd.
Yeah, very odd, yeah.
All right, let's take a time out. We'll come back and talk some more football. We do have Paint to Play. I can't wait till Austin does that. Probably in the 11 o'clock hour we'll do that. There's been a couple of conversations around the country that I think football-wise also could impact the Jacksonville Jaguars, at least from a conversation standpoint. We'll have that coming up. And also the trade deadline is a week away. Are the Jags going to make moves? Could they be a buyer in any way? We've never asked that. It doesn't feel right. And who else is going to move and shake at the trade deadline? That's Alan Verlander right there, founder of High School 912 and Airstream Ventures. And he puts this and has helped put this on, I think, 7th year of the Fortegra Invitational basketball tournament coming up, and all the media days that aren't just for football. Spring sports coming up in a few months. High school basketball here today, and fall sports media we were at a few weeks ago. So nice job by Alan and his team. We are at the Riverside YMCA Brent Austen Show on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. If you need a quality play this football season at your home, call That One Painter First Coast. Locally owned and operated, experienced employees, no builder-grade materials. And there's more, and for that, we throw it to Noah Schlicksup. That One Painter First Coast can apparently help your kicking game, too.
Well, after my failure on skinny sticks last year on Creekside game day, I've spent a lot of time out here at Creekside practicing my kicks. There's only one issue. How is that even possible? The good news is I know exactly who can help. That One Painter can handle all your painting needs, from field goal posts to cabinets to stucco. They got you covered. Though they may not be able to help with my kicking, they can certainly help with the posts. Call That One Painter First Coast today for all your painting needs at 904-495-1373.
People helping people. It's at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From 1954 to 2024, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. That commitment includes a partnership with the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 team as the presenting sponsor of all Armada men's and women's broadcasts this summer. Action Sports Jacks and Alive Credit Union a partnership that just makes sense when it comes to covering Northeast Florida. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of our first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Right now, save $1,000 or more when you bundle a Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
For the game day hustle and every day in between, juggling my show Jag Social to going under the Friday night lights and a social life, it's a daily tournament. But this ride, MVP status. The all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus isn't just my car, it's my personal locker room, office on the go, and VIP lounge on wheels. Let's talk tech. My profile remembers everything from customizing my dash display to setting the ambient lighting and my signature scent. And wireless charging, essential for live tweeting scores. Whether I'm packing for a beach day with friends or heading to the gym, there's space for every passion. After dominating all day, this becomes my recovery zone. The massage feature is like having a personal PT on call. Life's a non-stop game. But with this ride, I'm always on my A game. The 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Drive your passion.
If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit. When you hear that, you think Bono's Pit Barbecue, a staple in Northeast Florida now for 75 years. A place that feels like home with friendly service, a meeting place for friends, family, or business occasions. On the menu, the corn nuggets are a favorite in our house, but there's something for everyone. Sandwiches, platters, salads, sides, desserts, and family feasts. You see Bono's all over the place in Northeast Florida. You know, there are almost 20 locations in the Jacksonville area now, so stop on by, sit down, and dine in with Bono's. You can also take it to go. There are drive-thrus in many of the locations, and they have delivery options too. Just download the Bono's app to make things easy. I signed up for the loyalty program, and you can too, to get special offers. If Jacksonville is home, few things feel more Jacksonville than Bono's Pit Barbecue. Celebrate 75 years and many more to come. Bono's Pit Barbecue. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
The high school basketball media day at the Riverside YMCA. Fortegra Basketball Invitational coming up the 12th to the 14th, as we mentioned. Well, more on that. We'll have some of the participating teams join us here on the show over the next couple of weeks leading up to the event, and that should be a good one. There are a lot of good teams there from all over the area, from Clay County to St. John's, Duval, of course, and some of the private schools, too. UC, apparently, one of the tough teams to beat this season. So we will highlight that. And we'll have some of the games on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Right now, just to kind of set the scene over here as we welcome you back, Brent Austen Show. Right next to us is our another set that we have that we're doing interviews. We've got a long line of actually folks waiting to be interviewed.
Yeah.
I wish it all worked like this all the time in my job.
I know, right?
But so we got high school boys teams and girls teams, and 50 of them apparently are here and coming in and out throughout the day. And right now, St. John's Country Day basketball, they have a young man who's doing an interview right now with Chandler Dantzler. We have Noah Schlitz up here doing the interviews. So we got the kids interviewing the kids as part of the setup. Well, that's a young man by the name of Camden Cooper for St. John's Country Day. He's a freshman this year. He's already got 1,000 points in his high school basketball career. He's got 7 Division I offers, just talking to Coach Gibson there. So he is one of the studs in the area and one of the players to keep an eye on. So 6'6".
Yeah, I mean, 1,000 points in a season is, I mean, hey, I aspire to do that in 4 seasons. I don't think I even got there. So that's super impressive from him, man. Wow.
Yeah, and again, you can play earlier there. So it's not just, you can play as 7th, 8th grade or even at St. John's Country Day. So it's a little bit different than playing just as your 1 year. But he's going to have a heck of a career, being highly sought after, of course. And that fascinates me, too. We've had some really strong basketball players. Of course, everybody knows Grayson Allen coming out of here, right? You just mentioned a guy like Wyatt Walker playing at NC State.
Yeah.
And we've had some good basketball talent come out of here. Alex Fudge is another one who went to LSU. Maybe he's still down there at Florida now, or maybe he's graduated now. But anyway, we got some good talent in the area that plenty to talk about. But that's a name, Camden Cooper. Keep an eye on that one if you don't know much about the high school basketball scene. Brent Martineau and Austin Lane here on a Tuesday edition of the Brent and Austin Show. We'll get to Paint the Play, but presented by that one Painter First Coast in just a little bit. Coming up, a couple minutes on the World Series. How crazy! I'm trying to equate football to baseball.
Okay.
Aaron Judge right now is going through it.
Yep.
I mean, this is like Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
Patrick Mahomes not having a great year, but he's not like slumping.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it in baseball. I don't even know if you can do this in basketball. You can go get your points. Like if you normally score 30, you might score 22, and you can go find it, right?
Yeah.
This is like, he can't do anything.
I mean,
and the Yankees are on
take the pinstripes away, Brent. Take the pinstripes away and just make him wear a white jersey for a little bit. It's crazy.
And the crazier thing for me is Stanton is the one carrying him and Soto.
I know.
Carrying it, but nobody else can hit for the Yankees right now. They just are not hitting. Dodgers are really good. I said this yesterday on the show. Dodgers are going to be even better next year.
Yeah.
But this is a little disappointing, man. It's crazy. I actually wanted to see a good series, and now it's 3-0. I mean, they could get swept out of the series tonight.
I know. Like, listen, I thought it was going to be the showcase of the All-Stars, right? Like Aaron Judge, Ohtani, Soto, and then, I forgot, Freddie Freeman plays baseball because he's been, like, out of his mind. Yeah, it's been a disappointment. Like, once again, I'm not mad because the Yankees are getting beat because, anytime the Yankees get defeated on the biggest stage possible, we all celebrate it. But you like to see a little more of a competitive game, man, and it's unfortunate because, once again, they rely on Aaron Judge. You remember when we had the conversation with Hamby, who would you rather have, Aaron Judge or Soto? Well, I think during the regular season, Soto had his time, but, I think Aaron Judge was kind of the dude, and now, man, that's fallen by the wayside. It's all Soto now.
Yeah, it's disappointing. I mean, the numbers were really strong. They're up 66%. Over the weekend on the first 2 games, which is exactly what I thought they'd be, and maybe even bigger. But now, if you don't get a good series, it's not going to register the way it could, right? I mean, you need to go 6 games. Not every series is going to go 7, but you need to go 6 games. Like, all of a sudden, baseball and Fox and everybody else, I think they need, the Yankees to win tonight. They've been waiting. You could almost tell Joe Davis doing the games, trying to wish the Yankees, not even in a rooting way, but just make this a series, man, because this is great theater if it's a series.
But it had all the makings, right? I mean, the first game, it couldn't have been any better theater. Going to extra innings and everything, a walk-off grand salami. Okay, here we go. This is going to be a historic, series, a historic World Series. Baseball is finally back. Ratings never been better. And then Freddie Freeman just goes, nah, we're just going to win it in 4. That's what it's looking like right now.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Let's go Yankees tonight.
Yeah.
Whoever said it.
Who knew that we're relying on the Yankees to save baseball right now?
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And again, the Dodgers, listen, the one thing I'll say this watching these games, Dodgers are pitching it really well. And the Dodgers, they grind at bats better than the Yankees. Yankees have been better at grinding at bats. And I'll even say this about it. You're going to hear me really defend the Yankees. I thought the ump, I know you probably didn't watch front to back. The ump was screwing the Yankees yesterday. Every close pitch went to the Dodgers' way, which is a little surprising. You'd almost think, hey, you got
it wasn't called the low ones out. I was watching a majority of the game. I turned it off because I figured it was going to be over. But Yeah, he wasn't calling the low one, so the Yankees, like like they're saying he usually does. But I do agree with you. I do like how the Dodgers play baseball. I mean, they do obviously have some power hitters, but even trying to bunt to get a guy home, it didn't work.
It didn't work.
But I mean, I respect it though. I respect the hustle. I respect trying to get those runs whichever way you can.
That was a good play by the Yankees on that one. So we'll see. Fox 30, the place to be for tonight's Game 4, and hopefully there'll be a little bit more. They'll play tomorrow. What's today? Tuesday? Yeah.
Today's Tuesday.
I don't know if they have an off day tomorrow, but either way, they'll play tonight in Game 4. And they might have an off day for the next couple months if the Dodgers win here tonight. Brent Martineau, Austin Lane. Trade deadline coming up in a week. An election and trade deadline. Which will be the bigger story?
Oh, good call. Yeah, I know, right? I mean, that's a great call because, I don't know, is there anybody really on the trade block, like the big name? You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm trying to think of, right? I was from a Jacksonville Jaguars perspective. We talked about it, right?
Yeah.
It's obvious. We know the Cam Robinsons. We can mention the ETNs. No more Kirk on that. Maybe somebody else does go. Like we said it yesterday on the show. We're surprised, right? If we sit here next week and Cam Robinson isn't in Minnesota or somewhere else. Now, I don't know how many other teams need a left tackle right now, but I know Minnesota does.
Yeah.
So it'd be very surprising if he's still here, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it makes some sense to see Walker Little and everything else. But outside of that, I don't know if anybody's going to move. I would actually put, he's probably the only guy that's going to move at this stage for me, because either people are hurt or they haven't done enough to create enough market value for the Jaguars to trade him. Just, hammer this down on me right now and make sure I'm not missing anything. There's no way the Jags are buying anything, right?
Would make zero sense.
What would they need to buy at this moment that could make them better? I'm saying for now and long term.
Oh,
they've done that, right? They did that with Ridley. Ridley didn't help them out at the trade deadline a couple of years ago, but they wanted them to help them out the next season, and that was kind of a cool little deal the Jags did. Yeah. Would they go get a defensive tackle somewhere and be like, well, hey, we're going to get better for the future?
Yeah,
I'm just wondering if I'm missing.
No, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it would be nice, but at the end of the day, listen, you are who you are right now. You're not winning football games. You're going to have to probably rebuild this whole thing, and the last thing you want to do is spend more capital in terms of your money and going against the salary cap and trying to bring in guys right now, right? So I don't see them being buyers, and I'm not sure how many guys that can actually sell. I think Cam Robinson will be like the biggest target for a lot of teams because he has proven that he can play. I think he is highly valued, and obviously playing left tackle in this National Football League, you need a pretty good left tackle to have success.
Is there anybody, I started to look is there anybody that's suspended right now that
Yeah.
Go to get for next year? That was such an odd one with Ridley, and I thought it was a brilliant one, really. It was a cool move.
We were all celebrating it.
Yeah, it was a cool move. I mean, it was still a good move. They only had him for a year, but it was a good move.
Yeah.
I mean,
agreed.
Well, we did go back and forth on that a little bit, right? Because what they get? They give up a third, a fourth.
I think it was a third, right? Or a second?
Wasn't it? Became a second or something.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, you had him for a year, right?
I know we discussed that. Was it really a good? Yeah, for a rental. Mm-hmm. It all feels so much better on the Ridley front, no matter what happened, because Brian Thomas Jr. is here.
No, exactly. But you know what? With the whole Ridley thing, it didn't work out like we wanted it to. But I get in the moment going for that because that was, hey, Trevor, look what we got you now. That was trying to help Trevor Lawrence out. Now you didn't get the maximum play out of Ridley, but at least I get the try of trying to do it.
All right, so I take a look at this article and trying to see who could move.
I mean,
and Robinson's on the move, for the Minnesota one. So even the national folks are adding that up. It makes a lot of sense.
Dan Campbell kind of had a little cryptic thing in the conference saying a defensive end might be coming, which I thought it was going to be Max Crosby. But if you're the Raiders, and this is to me is like the Saquon Barkley effect. Max Crosby is by far the best player on the Raiders. You don't trade your best player away.
Yeah.
You simply just don't do it. I don't know what it costs. I don't know what the resources are, but you can, even with Saquon, I get, he's a running back, and running backs, you're not paying him anything. And, well, he's doing pretty damn good right now in Philadelphia, right? And Giants fans are watching Daniel Jones beat Daniel Jones, wondering, man, wish he had the ball to throw to, in the little bit of a flat, or hand the ball off because Daniel Jones can't get it done. So I think you can't trade away your best player, and by far Max Crosby is the best player on the Raiders.
Yeah, I agree with you, too. And by the way, Mark Davis has come out and said we ain't trading him before or after or whatever.
Yeah,
we're not
smart.
trading him. And I agree with you on this. Like, he's the face of your franchise right now. And you lost Devontae Adams, and that was probably a good move to lose him. So the Lions, at least here, while Max Crosby and even a Myles Garrett has been mentioned with the Browns, Chase Young is another one. It seems a little bit more reasonable. I mean, those other two were blockbuster deals.
Yep.
Chase Young would make some sense. He seems like a player that he's kind of a half-assed player, right? I mean, sometimes he plays hard and sometimes he doesn't.
You're not wrong.
When he turns it on, he's a pretty good player.
Yeah.
And I guess Campbell in Detroit could get you to play hard.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, if you want someone to turn it on with, it's going to be Dan Campbell. So, you might get the best out of Chase Young. And obviously, when you go to a team that's Super Bowl bound, or at least trying to get a Super Bowl, that helps you play, I think, a little harder as well. So that does make a lot of sense. Let me ask you this, Brent. I just got done saying, you can't trade your best player away. You just can't afford to do it. This season, on the Jacksonville Jaguars, who's their best player? And I mean, obviously, we're not going to say we can't trade Trevor away. I mean, that's obvious. But I'm saying, let's put Trevor Lawrence aside. Who's the best player on this Jaguars team right now, would you say? Offense or defense?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's bad that I can't it's bad that I can't answer it. I do think I have some people in mind. I'm thinking right now, like, I don't know if it's just statistically, I feel it, is Trayvon playing the best?
That's kind of what I was leaning towards, too.
Is he making the most impact? Like, Evan missed so many games, right? I think Evan could be on the list.
Yeah.
Quite frankly. And, and honestly, Brian Thomas Jr. is not far off this list.
I know.
Play that, which, and then the other guy, again, who's been hurt, I think Tyson's played well when he's in.
Yeah.
Like, he's been the guy that you paid for when he's in. Yep. He just hasn't. He obviously missed a handful of games. So
what about Tank? Would you put Tank on that list or not?
Not yet. Nah, I don't think so yet.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Would you? You sneaking in there?
I mean, this season, I think he's playing at a high level, but, like, I almost lean more towards Trayvon. I do. Trayvon Walker.
And, here's the thing. We're going to get all wrapped up in the sacks, and I don't think Josh is playing bad football, but he's only got 3 sacks. And that's going to be a problem. That's going to become a narrative. But I will say this in defense of Josh, and I feel like I'll probably always defend Josh, and because I really do think he's a heck of a player. I think it was the right thing to sign him. All those things are true. They just don't play for the lead. They don't play with the lead.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that Josh gets double-teamed and got the attention coming off last year has helped Trayvon get a couple of those big sack games. It's got him at 6.5 sacks now, right? So it's kind of one of the – and they're not getting help on the interior. So there's some reasons why I think Josh is down in the sack total right now because – my guess is play in, play out. He probably still impacts his football team maybe more than anybody else.
No, without a doubt. But, like, listen, we're going to have these conversations. Like, we'll see how the Josh Hines Allen stuff shakes out. We'll see if he can get to double digits. Right now it's not looking too good. But then we'll have the conversation as well of, okay, was this a result of adding weight, right? Because, I get the interior's not helping out right now. Well, guess what? The interior didn't help out last year as well. Okay, and I get, Trayvon Walker, is reaping the benefits, but guess what? He was getting double teamed last year as well, Trayvon Walker was. So it's essentially, it's kind of the exact same scenario that you had last year, just unfortunately Josh Allen isn't getting to the quarterback as much as he did, last year. So I think the weight will be talked about. Now, whether or not it's really true or not, who cares? But, like, these are things we have to go to, Brent. Like, when you're not producing like you should be producing in terms of quarterback sacks, well, then we got to go, what changed from last year? Obviously, the weight.
All right, just a couple other things to take a look at. Anybody that can, from a trade deadline standpoint, anybody that can really, it does feel like the Lions, if they were to add pass rusher, they can certainly help their football team a lot, and they're already a Super Bowl contender at this point, no doubt about it. The Chiefs just added, obviously, DeAndre Hopkins, and then they go get Josh Uche.
Yeah.
Seems like a very good I mean, you just made your defense even better. That felt like a 2017 Jags move. You're like, well, you're good. No, we're going to make it even better.
Yep.
And they did.
Yep.
Anybody else like out there that, I mean, this has like the 49ers trading for Devontae Adams.
Yeah, that'd be insane. Are you just saying like somebody else that could look at the big
I'm
name?
just thinking of the contenders. Like, who could make a difference?
Oh,
Because,
okay.
again,
Yeah.
baseball, we talk about this a lot. Football, it doesn't happen a lot. There aren't a lot of moves that really, move the needle. I mean, Devontae Adams was supposed to move the needle. They haven't won a football game since.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I understand it's a rumor, but, they're throwing Cooper Kupp out there for a bit.
Yeah,
and they even asked him about it, and he seemed like, he wasn't denying anything. So, once again, I have a hard time believing, like, and I get, like, are the Rams Super Bowl contenders? Well, probably not. They're not the best team in the NFC, but they just beat the Vikings. Like, they're a pretty solid team. So I just still find it kind of odd that they're talking about, or at least, there's rumors, there's smoke, talking about moving their best wide receiver away.
yeah, it's they are half a game out. The one thing they're not doing is giving it to like a team like San Francisco. They're not going to trade
there's
it in their
no
division,
way.
right?
No.
So there's not going to be that. Yeah, none of these, like the names that are out there right now, the moves that are being made, very mediocre deals. Like the one I just saw is like Adam Thielen to the Chargers. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't do much for me at all. I don't know if any moves are going to move the needle that much. I do like what the Chiefs are doing, though. Chiefs know they're not that great of a football team right now.
Yeah.
They're not 7-0. Like, they haven't played to that degree. They needed to add pieces if they're going to make a run at the Baltimore, so the Lions, to be able to do that. I like what they're doing because they know they couldn't just stand pat. And smart move, I think, by the Chiefs right now to make these, what I would say, moderate-level deals. I know they're bigger names, right? DeAndre Hopkins is a bigger name. It's still a moderate-level deal. They didn't go get Cooper Kupp.
No, dude, it's literally that Cooper. I mean, once again, talk about collusion, talk about shutting it down. If the Chiefs would have somehow landed Cooper Kupp, shut the whole thing down, man. And we'll see you guys next season.
All right. We'll see what happens with the trade deadline. We got that question out there if you want to jump in. I like what Austin said. Who is the best player on the Jags right now? And the way we asked it is more like Max Crosby. You don't move that guy because he's your best player. You said about Saquon Barkley. You don't move that guy. He's your best player. And you got to hold on to that. That's going to be your core. The Jags actually do have some core guys. And again, you can make the case for them. But who is the best one right now? We kind of lean toward Trayvon Walker, at least through 8 games. Is probably that guy, but I don't think far behind or is a player like Brian Thomas Jr., quite frankly. You mentioned Tank Bigsby. I'll give you a hidden name in there, too. Mitch Morse has been fantastic for this team, I think. He's been very good, and by all accounts, playing really good football. Yeah. And he's helped this offensive line. For the first time in years, this offensive line is playing the ball you want. He's the one that's been the addition. You got to give him a lot of credit for what he's done on that offensive front. For the Jacksonville Jaguars. Take a time out. Brent Austen Show here in the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. More to come, including Paint the Play. All right, I can't wait for this one now. Yeah. Austin's going to dissect that play that went for 51. Whose fault? Was it all Cisco? He noticed something else on this play. He'll tell us about it. It's coming up on the Brent Austen Show on a Tuesday. When we come back, hey, the fog has cleared a little bit. Either that or we cleaned the camera off. I don't know which one. Next time the Jags are back in the bank, it'll be in the white helmets against the Minnesota Vikings in a couple of weeks.
When it comes to trucks, I know exactly what I want. And at Bozard Ford, they make it easy to get exactly that. Let's go make this truck a little more my style. With Bozard Built, I can create my perfect truck right here. Lift kit? Check. Premium wheels? You bet. Advanced lighting package? Oh yeah. The Bozard team works their magic. From bumper to tailgate, I'm making this truck mine. It's everything that I wanted and more. From the field to the gym to weekend adventures. This truck's built for my journey. Bozard Built. Customized for your lifestyle, built to exceed your expectations. Check out the inventory and available options at bozardbuilt.com. Unleash your dream ride. Customize, covered, and Bozard approved.
It's a new logo, new branding with Bold City Heating and Air. It's an old-school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. It's hot, Florida in the summer. You can't do much to avoid it, but you can keep cool with Bolt City Heating and Air. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bolt City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who is coming to your house. You know they will be well trained, and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at BoltCityAC.com. Stay cool while it gets hot. Bolt City Heating and Air can help. Don't get caught sweating all summer. BoltCityAC.com. And they have financing to help. New systems starting at $110 a month and $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bolt City Heating and Air at BoltCityAC.com. Homegrown in your hometown. Nobody but Nimnicht. Our family has purchased 6 vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. The #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville has lots of inventory to choose from with their best price guarantee. Who gives you top dollar for your trade? Nobody but Nimnicht. Save up to $10,000 off select new GMC Sierras or get rates as low as 1.9%. You know, I'm a truck guy. GMC Sierra, my trim level is an SLT. This one's an Elevation. Pretty good looking color as well. So here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, you have a lot to pick from. My father-in-law, he drives this, an Enclave, so I feel like that GMC in the family. 2025 is coming around the corner, which means it's almost time to close out those 2024s this summer. You can schedule a test drive at NimnichtBuickGMC.com, and while you're there, check your trade value and customize your payment options. Nimnicht is there for you, even on Sundays. So, who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? The answer's simple: nobody but Nimnicht. Your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade. If you need a quality play this football season at your home, call That One Painter First Coast. Locally owned and operated, experienced employees, no builder grade materials. And there's more, and for that we throw it to Noah Schlicksup. That One Painter First Coast can apparently help your kicking game too.
Well, after my failure on skinny sticks last year on Creekside game day, I've spent a lot of time out here at Creekside practicing my kicks. There's only one issue. How is that even possible? The good news is I know exactly who can help. That One Painter can handle all your painting needs, from field goal posts to cabinets to stucco. They got you covered. Though they may not be able to help with my kicking, they can certainly help with the posts. Call That One Painter First Coast today for all your painting needs at 904-495-1373.
Everyone loves a good game night. Here you don't have to be the host. You don't have to clean up. They bring the food and drinks to you, and you can watch whatever you want on the big screens. It's more than a card room. It's a night full of fun with friends. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and now the newest location here in St. Augustine, right off 95 at exit 311. A brand new clean room, a full bar and menu, my favorite sushi in town. And I love the fries too. You don't have to just play poker at Best Bet. That's why I come over here to the table games and play one card poker. That's a pretty good card and a win. One card poker is like war as a kid, you against the dealer. And this isn't the only fun table game to play. A friendly staff, a lot of fun. It's a good night out at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and the newest location in St. Augustine. You can be a serious player or a novice. It doesn't matter. If winning equals fun, you're a winner every time at Best Bet. I'll save you a seat, and I'll see you down here at Best Bet St. Augustine.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Hey, we welcome you back to High School Basketball Media Day here at the Winston YMCA here in Riverside, and a bunch of media outlets here, along with us on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network, and a bunch of basketball teams here. The format usually, Coach brings a few players, boys and girls teams, and earlier today the Fortegra Invitational lineup was announced as well. That will take place on the 12th, 13th, 14th at FSCJ, the South Campus, and we'll be there for that. We'll have more on that over the next 5 or 6 weeks leading up, because we'll showcase the semifinal games and the championship game right here on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. There's our guys from Baker Sports. They're here as well. Frank Garris, you know that Frank Garris right there, he was the center on the East team for when Tebow played.
Oh, I got you.
That's claim to fame. I think he calls that his claim to fame. Brent Austen Lane back here at the YMCA. So most have ever been to the YMCA without working out.
I'm sorry, I can't really
Most
say
have
it.
ever been to the Y without
Oh
working
yeah,
out.
yeah. I mean, Brent, you can still get something in right now, man. You can get like a 20-minute cardio session if you really needed it.
This is actually one of the busiest gyms I've ever seen every time I come in here.
Yeah.
No, not like this. I mean,
Oh no, in there. Yeah.
Like everything, it seems like it's used.
No, you're not
Several
lying.
floors of it, too, so it's right in the middle of everything here at Riverside.
Well, then plus they have the track upstairs too as well, which I've ran sprints on before. But I mean, it's you gotta be careful, man, because you know when you have like the older people kind of going for their walks and everything. I mean, there's different lanes, right? So you
Stay
have
in your lane.
So there's a walking lane, there's a sprinting lane. But man, when you get sprinting, Brent, a little bit, sometimes you got to cut that corner, really get that the aerodynamics going a little bit. So I've had a couple close calls, but never really hurt anybody. So I'm thankful for that.
All right, I got this Matt LaFleur stuff, and you saw it, and I don't know, I think by now some people have seen it, but I don't want to assume that you did. We're going to play it here in a minute. And it's basically an explanation of the play that went for 51 yards from Malik Willis to Reed.
Yeah.
That set up, obviously, the win against the Jacksonville Jaguars Sunday. And it almost, I wonder how people feel about it. Like, it kind of bothers me.
Yeah.
Even on top of the play. It bothers me because it's like, wait a minute. It wasn't even in the playbook or the plan.
Well, yeah.
And on top of it, Malik Willis is the guy that's audibling you to and winning that play. Like, I mean, hats off to him. I mean, you got to give you props. But it's just like, what the heck? I think it sounded like they were trying to just run it in overtime.
It did, and I get the soundbite and everything, but I also think, they may not have ran it in practice, but, I think LaFleur was kind of boosting himself up a little bit more than he should have. Because, here's what I think. I think they maybe didn't have that play that week in the playbook, but they've had wrinkles of it. Because, this is how offenses work, right? Like, the wide receivers running that play, all they hear is the formation, what they have to do, right? And then if you're the running back, you hear, okay, the running back's got to do this. That's all you hear. So while that play may not have been in the playbook, I think wrinkles of that play were, and then he just kind of put two together and said, well, let's try to get this guy open. Let's scheme this guy open. And that's what happens with Josh Jacobs.
All right, so
or whoever it was Josh Jacobs, or no,
it was a Reed.
Reed, that's right. Yeah.
Here's Matt LaFleur explaining the play, and then we'll break down the play and paint the play.
Yeah.
Presented by that one painter, First Coast.
Was that last play a can?
Yes, it was. Well done, Pete. I'm impressed. Very well done.
What do you think of him having the confidence to do that in such a crucial?
Not only was it a can play, but it was a play that we didn't even have up in the game plan. That we talked about it on Tuesday. We thought there might be something there. Decided against it, and then we ran the keeper earlier in the game, and Vrabel suggested it. He's like, "Hey, it looks like the play is there," and so we put it in on the sideline. So no reps in practice. I think that's a big-time credit to our guys to be able to go out there and execute it. Jaden Reed, Tucker, the O-line, the backs, everybody's selling it. And then ultimately Malik making the throw. So that was a pretty cool one, probably one I'll never forget.
Wow, there it is, LaFleur, and he kind of gives you the whole background, right, of all that's going on. And hats off to him, right? And again, I think you're right. It's not like they've never practiced the play before. They definitely have practiced the play.
Yep.
But they didn't plan to have the play in, especially with Malik Willis as the backup quarterback.
Yep.
So, it's kind of frustrating, in my opinion, to hear it that way. And then Malik Willis is the guy that kind of, turns the tables on the Jags, and then he executes the play. He saw what he saw, and he saw it right. I just feel like the Jags in the last couple of minutes of that game got fooled multiple times. They got or burned, I should say. Maybe not fooled, but burned. Doug got burned by the aggressive play to keep time on the clock because he didn't think a guy like Malik Willis probably could do that. And then Malik Willis burns them and burns the Nielsen defense again and burns Cisco. And, man, the burn just is real.
And it hurts, Brent. It hurts really bad because, once again, it's not just okay, you gave him a large chunk here. These are touchdowns. These are big plays. These are momentum-changing plays. And once again, like, yeah, I get the scheme was drawn up nicely. Like, it put the Jaguars kind of in a bind a little bit, and sometimes those plays happen. But when those plays happen, you got to try to contain the bleeding. You can't give up a touchdown because of it, you know?
Yeah, so, all right, here you go. You got to take us through
or
this one.
not really a touchdown, but like, whatever.
Well,
it's
51.
70. I mean,
You lost the game on the
Yeah,
play.
you lost the
Doesn't
game.
matter.
Yeah.
And, all right, Kim, if you do have it, paint the play presented by That One Painter First Coast. This is where Austin diagnoses a play. A couple times a week we try this out, and we just figured this play. There's a lot going on, and I have a lot of questions about it. My first thing and my thought, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong, they were planning for the run. They thought after a first down run, I believe they thought Green Bay was going to run again on second down and probably just take it to overtime or see if they could move the ball on the ground to then begin the drive.
I mean, the way the personnel was set up before they kind of went into motion and everything and switched the line, it was looking like a run, absolutely. And then here you have Reed. Like, so this is a smart scheme, a smart draw up here by Matt LaFleur. If we go back to the first slide, if we can get it back.
Yeah, Kim, I don't know if you can just pause.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Kim's got it, man. Kim Possible's in the house. So here we have right here, this is almost like, you would call this like a bunch formation, right? But it's a little more exotic because you have a guy that's kind of playing that tight end position in that bunch formation. So, like, if you had a corner on Reed right now, you would tell him, okay, well, you got to jam him, right? Because we saw this a couple years ago when the Rams started to do this a lot, right? When you have these tight bunch formations, the Rams were all about getting guys in space, using these crossing patterns, confusing, man coverage, and getting guys open. The Rams were kind of the first ones with McVay to do that. When they played in the Super Bowl, Bill Belichick goes, hey, we're not going to let you do that. We're going to press you. We're going to get in your face, and we're going to disrupt your timing because this is all play of timing right now. It's all play of trying to, quote-unquote, set the picks, get the guys open, and then, get a nice sustained drive. The Patriots said, we're not going to fall for that. We're going to actually take it to you, and we're going to jam you. We're going to disrupt your timing, and lo and behold, some people want to say it was the most boring Super Bowl of all time. I thought it was a defensive masterclass, but not every fan is going to be, into that. So here we have right now, in a perfect world, you would see Trayvon Walker and go, okay, if Trayvon Walker could jam Reed right now from running across open the field, you'd have something here. But why would he? He's a defensive end. Yeah. He's trying to, make a play, and eventually it turns into a pass. He's trying to rush the passer. The last thing he's concerned about now is with Reed, and guess what? Reed's in that tight bunch, and he gets an open look. What I look for is the opposite side, though, Brent, because here we have, that's Tyson Campbell, I believe, right?
I think you're right.
Opposite side
down
here,
the bottom.
And that's Christian Watson, if I'm not mistaken. You can tell from how tall he is.
Yep.
Christian Watson, this play is also tailor-made for him, right? Because he's a big body, takes up a lot of space. If Tyson Campbell can just get his hands on Christian Watson right here and disrupt that rub or that pick, whatever you want to call it, this could throw the whole play out of whack, but he doesn't. Christian Watson enforces himself on Tyson Campbell, and the play starts running here.
Okay, so a couple of things going on as we looked at that and we moved to the next one. It looked like they were planning for a run. You obviously got a no pass in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
Reed's all left alone up top. Now, alignment-wise, you're not going to – should they have put somebody else on him there? They could have, but should they have is the question. And then the other one is Tyson Campbell. He might be able to upset the rhythm of this play if he presses and jams his guy, meaning Christian Watson.
Yeah, because that's how you stop plays like this from happening, Brent. Because, we call these –
the rhythm
because we call these, the rub routes, right? Like, people want to say, oh, it's a screen. It's not a screen. Like, this is completely legal. They call it the rub route. And in order to stop the rub routes, it puts your defense at such a disadvantage in the secondary if you don't chip to your guy, if you don't disrupt the timing. Because, listen, regardless of how good you are at man coverage, when you have guys running across from you and everything, it gets discombobulated. And you can't keep with them. That's exactly what happens right here. And obviously Cisco suffers the wrath of it as he slips, falls, and his man gets wide open.
Well, and here's the other thing about this, and as we look at this screen, right before this, because you're seeing Cisco in the middle now chasing Reed, right about the 37-yard line. Before this, if you watch this play in live action or, just in video, he's going to get the run. He bites on the play action.
Yes, yeah.
So not only does he, he's in chase mode right away because he bid on the play action.
Yeah.
And that's what they changed it to. And now obviously you see what happens here. Malik Willis is all by himself on an island.
Yeah.
And I mean, the rest is history. I mean, I could have made the throw.
No, without a doubt. And Cisco's got to do better, right? He has to have better read recognition, but I can't stress this enough. On the opposite side with Tyson Campbell, if he would have disrupted a little bit of Christian Watson, it would have thrown off their entire timing. Now maybe we're talking about Cisco being able to recover a little bit, and now maybe it's not going to be a play that's 80 yards out the gate.
That being said, the whole thing here as we bring you Paint the Play, presented by That One Painter First Coast, it is a good call.
Sure.
Right? It is a hat tip call.
Yeah.
But it's not indefensible either. I mean, you come out of the locker room that day and everybody's like, oh, man, that play works all the time, or that's the old crap play. And, I mean, I get that, but you still got to – here's my problem. You've got to protect against that. You're in a late-game situation. The play you can't give up. This is like Indianapolis all over again. You've got to play against the explosive play. Why are they susceptible to a play like that in this moment of the game? Make Malik Willis beat you, or at least just plan on stopping the run with Jacobs, but nothing can get past you.
Well, and this comes down to, once again, Brent, your identity as a team, right? We hear from Ryan Nielsen, it's going to be simplified, and you're going to attack.
Yeah.
Well, when you have that bunch formation like that, and you have Christian Watson in front of you, literally an inch away, then you need to attack it. And we didn't see that, right? So, once again, was it a scheme that was drawn up nicely by Matt LaFleur? Absolutely. Did Reed get free? Yeah, absolutely, because Trayvon Walker's not going to put his hands on him. Trayvon Walker is trying to obviously rush after the passer when he realizes it's passed. So it's not on Trayvon Walker, but it is on this defense to go your identity and say, if we're going to have this base defense that's simplistic, that's not going to really fool a lot of people in terms of exotic looks, then you got to play disciplined and you got to play aggressive. And they did not right there. And once again, this comes down to what type of team are you? Are you a team that's going to enforce the punch, or are you a counter-punching team that can't counter-punch? And right now, this is another classic example of a counter-punching team that can't counter-punch.
Yeah, and I don't claim to know the X's and O's like you just diagnosed there. I just say you can't allow a play in that moment. I mean, the Jags, we did this the other day of the show. The Jags have given up 19 plays, explosive plays in the fourth quarter alone this year through 8 games. That's too much. I don't even know where that ranks. I can just tell you that's too much. That's not good. You can't be giving up those kind of plays. And the other part of this is the Jags haven't been ahead much. The Indianapolis game they were, so you're going to get the guys throwing. But even that was, if you're ahead like that, you shouldn't be giving up explosive plays.
Yeah.
You should just make them dink and dunk their way down the field. So, their defense to me isn't making sense in times of the game. Yeah, they doing some good things. Have they gotten better in some areas? Or some of the guys playing okay? Yeah, much like the offense.
Yeah.
But they just can't put it all together, and it's mind-boggling to me how you can allow that to happen in these key situations. This is a bad team when it comes to key situations.
Yeah.
When they need something, they can't get it on both sides of the ball, quite frankly, from 3rd and 1 or stopping a play like that. I'll go back to the Pittsburgh game last night. Russell Wilson fumbles the football on his own territory, up by 8.
Mm-hmm.
Can't make the mistake. I mean, hold on to the ball.
Yeah.
Well, they drive down a little bit, getting inside the 15-yard line. T.J. Watt makes 2 plays. One of them's a fumble recovery. I mean, this team isn't doing that. This is what I asked. When you're Russell Wilson, who played a pretty good football game, made a mistake. Well, Trevor Lawrence, who played a pretty good football game, not the fumble one, but when he makes the mistake and the interception, hold it to a field goal, guys. Don't give up the touchdown. That's what good football teams do. That's why the Pittsburgh Steelers are 6-2. That's why the Jaguars are 2-6. Paint the Play presented by That One Painter First Coast. You can always check those guys out for all different services, by the way, by simply calling 904-643-3025. From deck staining, the wallpaper, cabinet painting, and obviously they'll paint your house. Commercial painting, residential painting as well. Check them out. That One Painter First Coast at 904-643-3025. We love that segment of the show. That One Painter Paint the Play. Here on the Brent Austen Show on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 Network. All right, let's take a time out. I think Wyatt Walker wants to talk to you. Maybe we'll even invite him in. You guys can do a little chat when we come back. Brent Austen Show on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 Network. We're live at the Riverside YMCA. And don't forget about our After the Game show. It plays today at 2 o'clock. Mike Pickett is the St. John's Country Day girls soccer legendary coach. He is once again... That episode is going to air today. We're recording a couple of new episodes this week. And also, I invite you to check out our YouTube channel and the playlist. Marty Lee is going to coach his last game this week in high school football, and we have an episode with Marty Lee on there as well. So you can go check out our YouTube channel, and the Action Sports Jacks brand is where you can find that. We'll be right back. Welcome to Everbank Stadium. We call the stadium the bank. Here inside the Jaguars locker room, this is called the Vault. The Vault is a special place on game days. You can feel the energy and excitement as the Jaguars get ready to take the field. And Everbank has made a way for Jaguars fans to be a part of the action. Each home game, Everbank will select a winner and a guest to be a part of the Shadows. Be there up close and personal when the Jaguars leave the Vault to take the field. Not only that, the Vault Lounge provides a VIP pregame tailgate experience. High-end food, beverages, music, and more. Want a chance to be part of a VIP experience at a Jaguars game? Enter today at everbank.com/shadows, and you could find yourself in the shadows with the Jaguars.
For the game day hustle and every day in between. Juggling my show, Jag Social, to going under the Friday night lights and a social life, it's a daily tournament. But this ride, MVP status. The all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus isn't just my car, it's my personal locker room, office on the go, and VIP lounge on wheels. Let's talk tech. My profile remembers everything from customizing my dash display to setting the ambient lighting and my signature scent. And wireless charging, essential for live tweeting scores. Whether I'm packing for a beach day with friends or heading to the gym, there's space for every passion.
After dominating all day,
This becomes my recovery zone. The massage feature is like having a personal PT on call.
life's a non-stop game. But with this ride, I'm always on my A game. The 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Drive.
If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit. When you hear that, you think Bono's Pit Barbecue, a staple in Northeast Florida now for 75 years. A place that feels like home with friendly service, a meeting place for friends, family, or business occasions. On the menu, the corn nuggets are a favorite in our house, but there's something for everyone. Sandwiches, platters, salads, sides, desserts, and family feasts. You see Bono's all over the place in Northeast Florida. You know, there are almost 20 locations in the Jacksonville area now, so stop on by, sit down, and dine in with Bono's. You can also take it to go. There are drive-thrus in many of the locations, and they have delivery options too. Just download the Bono's app to make things easy. I signed up for the loyalty program, and you can too, to get special offers. If Jacksonville is home, few things feel more Jacksonville than Bono's Pit Barbecue. Celebrate 75 years and many more to come. Bono's Pit Barbecue. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit. You trust CGC to make your water great, and now you can trust CGC with your plumbing needs as well. Fast, convenient scheduling, licensed and insured. A quick call away at 904-552-1242. You never know when you're going to have an issue with a shower, toilet, or maybe it's a sink that sometimes is easy to fix. All right, let's be honest. I'm not fixing anything. I'm totally staging this because when I have a plumbing problem, I call CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing. Trained professionals, transparent pricing, customer satisfaction. Small problem or even a bigger issue. Maybe you need a new tankless water heater or something a bit more intricate. The experts with 25 years of experience at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing can do it all. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. For a limited time, CGC is waiving the trip charge on all related plumbing calls. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579. It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to Spring Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence. You can bring your party or event to Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to the Brent and Austin Show. Take a look inside our Action Sports Jax 24/7 network studios. And we are not there today. Most improved player, Marcel Robinson, especially since he got out of the way of Jarian Jones this week. I mean, stop at the Marcel Robinson jersey. Celebration time for number 19. Brett Martineau, Austin Lane, we are obviously not there. We are here instead at the Riverside YMCA. It's just funny. We're right next to us, as I keep telling everybody, we have a set for doing interviews, and Noah Schlicksup and Chandler Dantzler. We got the kids interviewing the kids, and they're doing a great job. And all the different high school basketball teams in the area, boys and girls, are here. And so just rotating a bunch of this big line right in front of us has been most of the morning. And when the girls just came off, I think, from Bartram Trail, and all the rest of them just gave her like a standing ovation.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So,
nice little TED talk there. Must have something profound. I like it.
Something good, yeah, or at least just made it through it, right?
I like it.
It's a great spot. I say this all the time. We do these things. The kids are so much better than they've ever been at answering questions.
Oh, it's insane.
It used to be the hardest thing to do is interview a high school kid. Now they're like so good at it.
I got to bring in my because, obviously we had like media days too and stuff for football back in Wisconsin where they came out to our practice. And I definitely have an interview on DVD where like they're asking me questions and everything. And yeah, man, I mean, the guy that sits before you now, I mean, I have a little bit of the gift of gab and everything. I can talk. Back then, yeah, not so much, Brent. Yeah, it was a little awkward back then for me.
I just kind of wonder how much of that has been kind of have seeped into the minds and like the subconscious of the kids just by watching so much of it. It's right here. Like you don't have
there's so much access
to watch a post-game show and watch all the stuff. But now you're just like seeing a clip from a player. And what I was telling a coach earlier, I was like, it's pretty amazing. They don't say like bulletin board material. Now, listen, if you interview enough kids, they'll say something probably they shouldn't say. The coach is like,
yeah.
That. But they actually like are well rehearsed. Like they know, okay, I'm not going to give too much here. And then they just are very articulate. Yeah. And again, that's new. Like that is a world that that has changed in the last probably 10, 12 years. And it's kind of cool. It's really neat to see it.
Yeah, it's really crazy to think about it too, because like the way that I'm sure kids communicate now. Like, I don't have a teenager yet, so I'm sure I'll find out one day. But you got to think with like social media and everything, like maybe you're not getting so much like face-to-face interactions, right?
No.
So it's on the phone, or it's text messaging, or it's Instagram, and whatever you want to call it. Like back in the day, I mean, we were always face-to-face. Like I didn't have a phone. Like we would drive to our friend's house. Like, hey, we're hanging out like in person, face-to-face, and I was still horrible at interviews. So it's wild how the landscape has changed of how teenagers now communicate, but they're so articulate and so better off than when we were growing up, man. Like it's night and day.
Well, there's another element of this, all right? Like I get what you're saying. A lot of people said, we need more face-to-face. And they're right, by the way. It would be very helpful to have more this kind of conversation, which we're fortunate to be able to do every day.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, we get to use all this, but still kind of be face-to-face communication.
Yeah.
So I get it. But not everybody was really good at that either. Like that can be very uncomfortable to say what you want to say or need to say, or you feel like you might stumble or whatever else.
Yeah.
The added element of this, the lights, the camera, really change. In my belief in our business, whether it's a younger person, older person, doesn't matter how many times you've done it, the interview setting changes once you flip the light and the camera on.
It does.
If you were doing an interview, and you were good at it, this. When you're doing interviews for fighting or back in the day for football, and a TV person comes up to you, right? And you got the big camera, and you got the light coming in your face, and the mic flag and everything else. My guess is you are less comfortable than when Gene Fournette's coming up to you, and it's just like he knows you're just sort of scribbling notes or has a recorder.
Brett, make no mistake, even like with this show, like listen, I've experienced this firsthand the past couple of years. Like when we did a Super Bowl, it was in Atlanta.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like me and Marcel Robinson, like we did like a couple just like spots like around, you know, I think it was like the NFL experience.
Yeah,
where, you know,
right,
yeah. And like, so I had to do a stand up and like, yeah, I can sit here and, you know, talk and it's all good. But like when you had me standing up holding the mic and I see the flag and then obviously like the bright lights and it's just me and people are walking by and like it's a little awkward. People are looking at me and they're like, hey, who's this guy? Like that's a lot more. And every single time, like if I have to do a stand up, I can't do one take. It takes me like 3 or 4 times. Then it takes Marcel say, hey, you're all good, man. Just calm down a little bit. And then I breathe and then I get it better. But it's different when you have the lights, you're standing up and everyone's focusing on you.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. That's you know, it's funny. It's a strange thing for me. Maybe because I've done it, but I even felt this way early in my career when I wasn't like as rehearsed or had as many reps. I would this whole room right now, even today, right now, I'm like screaming at the top of my lungs, shout whatever. Like you can all be looking at me, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I got a microphone, I'm fine. If I was standing up on TV, be fine. If they took the lights away and the microphone away and you wanted me to address this crowd, I would feel so uncomfortable.
Really? Because I would thrive in that.
Yeah,
it's wild how we're doing like that because, like, yeah, whether it's like, you know, like I said, whether it's like a wedding speech, whether it's going to talk to the Murray State football team, whether
you're good
like,
at that.
I can do any of that because,
not
like,
me.
Yeah,
I don't want to be the best man.
I don't know. That's why Brent doesn't have a lot of friends, man, just because he doesn't want to stick it in the wedding speech.
Exactly. Now, listen, I've gotten a little bit better at it when you talk to kids and classrooms. And I'm comfortable talking about our profession because I feel like I know enough about it, right?
Yeah, you're very versed.
So, you know, then you go talk to some folks and they want, you know, you get the feel that they want a little of a message. Yeah. And I think a part of that is it's like, all right, like I don't really feel like you got a cool story.
Yeah.
I mean, to the NFL, to like stuff that resonates. I don't really have like a cool story. Like I feel like my story is cool for me, but not really for like, you know, juniors and sophomores sitting in high school. You know, like in a assembly hall or whatever it is. But, so I think some of that's that, right? It's like, okay, what am I really doing here?
Yeah. When was the time, you know, whether it was public speaking, whether it was doing like a stand up, when you were the most nervous in your career?
Oof, that's a good question. That's a really good question. I don't know exactly if this is it, but I think it probably would make sense for it to be it. I'll give you 2. I got 2 that come back to me a little bit. One is one of the neat things I did in my career when I was in Alexandria, Louisiana.
Yep.
So you work at this little TV station, right? Okay. You're doing weather and sports and news, and you do everything. And it was at the turn of the century.
Okay.
So that was 1999. So I got that job in July or August. I think I started August 1st. It was hot as hell in Louisiana. And I started there. And so we had this big thing. We're an ABC affiliate. We had this big station thing where we were going to actually do the countdown for the final half hour of 1999 in the century. Yep. But, of course, at that time, nobody knew what was going to happen when the millennium. Everybody was nervous. Like nobody understands that now, but the world was nervous about what computer systems were going to do and everything else, right? So, but anyway, it was a cool deal. We had this at the station. It was a black tie thing.
Okay.
Right, so I'm all dressed up in probably some like $60 tux, and but the owner of the station, it's a smaller station, so like the owner of the station is there. And I'm helping like MC this whole thing, and I'm freaking 22, like out of school, like I don't know anything. And so I remember being like really nervous in that. The other one I'll say, where I still sometimes get a little, I don't know about nervous, more uncomfortable, but this happened in New England. So this would have been a couple years into my career where I was a little more, I wasn't on air every day, but I was on enough. Yeah. And, but ain't like Lawyer Malloy or who's the other one? Ty Law. Yeah. Oh, those are the Rhode Island coming up with that. So it's one of those two got in trouble. Okay. I'm pretty sure. Okay. Maybe it was somebody else. But I thought somebody had gotten like arrested or something like that. And I remember being live at the stadium outside Foxborough, and it's like these new words are entering my mind, right? Just from like arrest, whether it's probation, whether it's like alleged, whether it's like, and you really respect the news folks, of course, because in my world, if I screw up a score, I'm not getting sued. No, right? Most likely. But in
This
their
is true.
world, if you mess up some of those words and misspeak,
Yeah.
it can mean a lot.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking that. I'm like, gosh, I'm glad I don't do
You don't
this
wanna
every
do-
day.
Yeah,
And even
yeah.
now, like, we'll have to report on stuff like that. You get more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
But if you're not in your lane, it's an uncomfortable place to be when you don't know the terminology and
Sure.
the words and
Makes sense.
and the things that just don't roll off your tongue, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So there's my TED Talk on
Yeah.
broadcast. All because of high school 912 media day here today. But it is kind of fascinating
Yeah.
to think about it.
Yeah.
And how much these kids are just good at it and comfortable in it and like it. Like they're excited about it. Most of the kids are excited about it.
Yeah.
I was really impressed at the other one. One of the reasons they did the fall sports media day was because, those kids don't get interviewed a lot.
Yeah,
Football
yeah,
players,
sure. Yeah,
basketball
the
players,
cross country swimmers. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Man, I went back and listened. I thought they were terrific.
Yeah, man.
Like, they were terrific. So you can catch that, by the way, at our Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Right, 3 hours of coverage of Fall High School Media Day, and we're going to put this all up there in probably another 3 hours. So if you know any of the kids that are here today, any of the teams, your alma maters, go learn a little bit about your school and your sports throughout the next couple of weeks on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Hey, you brought up a topic of rookies, quarterbacks.
Yeah.
How are they all playing?
Yeah.
Are they playing? Let's just take the whole first. Are they playing better than you thought this group of young quarterbacks in the NFL are playing?
I am really surprised, actually, just because, like, we have some quarterbacks that are really willing their teams to wins right now. I mean, look no further than Jane Daniels. And if we want to rank them, I mean, it's hard to have Jane Daniels anywhere else but number one right now in terms of, this rookie class ranking. I mean, they're 6-2 right now in Washington. I don't think anybody believed that. Nobody believed that the Commanders would be the top right now at all throughout any of the season in the NFC East, but they are, and a lot of that has to do thanks to, I think, Cliff Kingsbury being a pretty good play caller, and obviously Jane Daniels. So, once again, we're seeing these dual threat guys, and sometimes you get an Anthony Richardson where it's like, man, maybe we missed on this guy, and sometimes you get a Jane Daniels where it's like, yeah, this guy, if he can stay healthy, now keep in mind, because that's a big caveat too, right? And that's a big caveat with all these dual threat guys. But if he can stay healthy, Brent, he looks like the real deal. So, I mean, by far, to me, I think he's going to be if he can stay consistent, be a rookie of the year, and obviously I think he could be a staple on that Washington team for a long time to come.
Yeah, you take a look at, so Jordan Daniels doing an unbelievable job. Caleb Williams has the Bears doing things that, quite frankly, they haven't done in a very long time, right?
Yeah,
I mean, he hadn't played brilliant football all the time, but he's played pretty good football.
Got that Jags bump, and all of a sudden he's kind of in the conversation a little bit.
Yeah, and then kind of slid back. Like this, these guys weren't great the other day, but they're playing good defenses. Bears and Commanders defenses are good.
Yeah.
So that game actually turned out the way most thought it would be, a pretty low-scoring game.
And then Bo Nix.
That's the guy. Like the guy that, and again, he's not playing like lights out.
But he's been a roller coaster, though, Brent.
But they're winning with him.
They are winning with him, and that's the most important thing. Yeah, I mean, there'd be some games where he's got 3 completions, it seems like, in the first half, and it comes out and throws like 3 touchdowns the second half, So he's so hard to get a beat on right now. But, I mean, obviously had his best game, maybe had the best game of any rookie so far this season, his last one here in Denver. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's a testament. Like, we talk about Trevor Lawrence's class, right? And there was such high expectations. Obviously, I think Mac Jones kind of got off to the starting blocks as probably the front runner. And then now, obviously, Trevor has overtaken that man. And really, Trevor's the last man standing, if you will, in terms of anybody being productive whatsoever. You get the vibe here that this rookie class, Brent, may be special, and we'll see what Drake may as well, right? Because he's still, got to stay healthy. But we've seen some good things from him. He'll get some more experience, he'll get some more reps and everything. But this rookie class right now looks like kind of the real deal.
Yeah, I don't know what it says. I'm trying to figure out what it says.
The Rattler, not so much.
Yeah, and wasn't supposed to be, right? I mean, in fairness to him. And I think what's his name's coming back, actually, back in the practice field. Carr, yeah. So I didn't expect this out of this class. Like, I wondered about Caleb Williams. Everybody thought he was a good talent. I think everybody else are like, and they have exceeded expectations. But is this just a drop in the bucket? Will that change a little bit? Or is it a new thing?
Yeah.
Or have teams finally started to smarten up a little bit? When you look at Bryce Young in Carolina, what they did to him. When you even look at Trevor in that 21 draft class and what they've done to those guys. Chicago did not do a good job to help Justin Fields out. Trevor and Urban was a terrible match. Mac Jones, while fine his first year, they really did a disservice to him, I thought, in year 2 specifically, by not having an offensive guy or an offensive plan or an offensive anything. So you look at why those things faltered, and the organizational's fault. Who said it recently? I think it was O'Connell or somebody else. Like, we fail the young quarterback as organizations more than they fail us. And I agree with that.
Yep.
Because if you look at what Chicago's done at a second chance, obviously they loaded up. You look at Jaden Daniels, he's in a pretty good spot. They've got better offensive weapons than people give him credit for.
True.
And he's got a veteran coach, and he's a defensive coach, which means you don't ask the offensive guy to go do everything. We've got a defense we can lean on. And he's been electric, obviously, with Kingsbury, even better than anybody thought. And then I go to Bo Nix. Well, Bo Nix, same deal. I mean, this is impressive right now. I'm not a Sean Payton guy. But what Denver's done, and I thought they could be sneaky good. They're actually been a little bit better than I thought.
Now, their defense is playing at a extreme high level, too, as well.
Well, but again, that's the organization that set them up to do that. Now, they exceeded a little bit even on that, and maybe. But they've done 2 things. I saw a stat, I think it was last week, before the games last week. They're like number 1 or number 2 in sacks and fewest sacks allowed.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, well, you built
That'll do it.
You're setting them up. Like, what happens to most rookie quarterbacks? They play behind a crap offensive line, and they get their butt whooped the whole year. Look at Bryce Young. Look at Blaine Gabbert. Look at Blake Bortles. I mean, they get their butt whooped. And then you have all this scar tissue. You get sped up. All these things. Well, they've done a nice job with Bo Nix. First of all, he's an old guy, a veteran player, and they've protected him well enough to at least allow him to settle into the position.
Let me ask you this, Brent. If you were a GM or a head coach and you get a rookie quarterback in, what are you trying to focus more on? Are you going the Jim Harbaugh route with offensive line and building that up first? Or are you going with more of like let's call it the Joe Burrow route and focusing more on weapons?
I think I'm going Jim Harbaugh. And the reason, and I'm not sure I would have said that a couple of years ago, but I think I've come to this realization. And I know it's an old school football thing anyway, right? You got to protect us in the trenches. Tom Coughlin said, everybody said it. I'm just saying, I think you can also scheme offensive lines. I also think you can argue that, well, your offensive line, even if you try to build it up, is just going to be okay because most offensive lines are just okay. But I've kind of spun on this a little bit different. I now think it's the one area of the football field or football team that you can be better than 80% of the teams in the National Football League by the widest of margins. If you really build it up, you can now be, because everybody else is here.
Yeah,
it's not wrong. Way down here, but everybody's here.
Yeah.
There's maybe 1 or 2 that are up here. So if you can get up here into that tier as an offensive line, what you do is now you give yourself an advantage that 26, 27, 28 other teams don't have.
Sure.
And on top of that, the way the defensive fronts are playing, you need it. You need that weaponry up front to be able to block all those guys coming at you.
Because to be fair, I mean, again, everyone's going to be Jamar Chase. Right? Everyone's going to have Joe Burrow, have Jamar Chase, and they get off to a hot start right away in Joe Burrow's career. But usually every football team's going to have at least one good wide receiver, if not two. I mean, it's just the way the game works now. You're going to have even Carolina's got, and maybe he's not an elite receiver, but they have Deontay Johnson when he's healthy, and he's kind of a target animal. So I get what you're saying here, where it's a little more rare to, I think, get those legit, 5 offensive linemen protecting than it is to get a couple wide receivers who are able to catch the ball.
And that's what's interesting here in Jacksonville right now. Trevor's got his best offensive line that he's had.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, the way they're playing, and this is now a 5 or 6 week sample. They did not play well the first 2 weeks. They might not have played Buffalo either, probably. So the first 3 weeks, they didn't play well. But the last 5, again, Chicago wasn't awesome. But the other 4 have been, you can almost throw the word awesome out there.
Yeah.
They've been very good. And you start to wonder, have the Jags actually put together an offensive line that's one of the better offensive lines in the National Football League? And if you have that, you would think you're going to start to get what you've got. What's happening? I just said they played the best football the last 5 games. But what's happened? 4 of those games, well, was it 4 of them? Well, they've scored 32, 37, and 28 or 27.
There's a
So
correlation.
it's three of them, right?
Yeah.
So three of them.
Yeah.
I'm missing. What was the four? Oh, the Texans game, they scored 20 or 21, which at the time was the highest one of the season.
Yeah.
But, that's my point. Like that, their offensive line's giving them a chance to be the offensive football team that they want to be.
Yeah.
And right now, the Jags are a pretty good offensive line, and we just haven't been able to say that very often. We got to say this. We're going to head to a break. It's the noon hour right around the corner, and we are live at the High School 912 High School Basketball Media Day. Boys and girls teams from all over the area visiting with us and other media outlets. And we'll continue from here until 1 o'clock here on the Brent Austen Show on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. FSCJ is here as well, and they will be hosting the Fortegra Invitational on December 12th, 13th, and 14th on their South Campus. In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jacks team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580.
People helping people. It's at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From 1954 to 2024, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. That commitment includes a partnership with the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 team as the presenting sponsor of all Armada men's and women's broadcasts this summer. Action Sports Jacks and Alive Credit Union, a partnership that just makes sense when it comes to covering Northeast Florida. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of our first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Right now, save $1,000 or more when you bundle a Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579. Baker Sports is local sports. Uniforms from Pop Warner and Little League to travel ball, high school, and college. They make you look good. They help you play good. Baker Sports has been helping families make memories that will last a lifetime with their Baker's Buckets. We've got a lot of these filled with baseballs and softballs in the garage. I've been throwing batting practice to Ty and Kaylee for years and also sit on the Baker's Bucket, catching Kaylee while she practices or pitching. Baker Sports is homegrown, and a lot of employees that used to play on local ball fields now work for Baker Sports, now helping you look good, play good, and make memories of your own. Visit bakersport.com to see what Baker Sports can do for you. Custom apparel, Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, embroidery, screen printing, and more. Baker Sports is local sports from Jacksonville to anywhere in the Southeast. Bakersport.com. Everyone loves a good game night. Here you don't have to be the host. You don't have to clean up. They bring the food and drinks to you, and you can watch whatever you want on the big screens. It's more than a card room. It's a night full of fun with friends. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and now the newest location here in St. Augustine, right off 95 at exit 311. A brand new clean room, a full bar and menu, my favorite sushi in town. And I love the fries too. You don't have to just play poker at Best Bet. That's why I come over here to the table games and play one card poker. That's a pretty good card and a win. One card poker is like war as a kid, you against the dealer. And this isn't the only fun table game to play. A friendly staff, a lot of fun. It's a good night out at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and the newest location in St. Augustine. You can be a serious player or a novice. It doesn't matter. If winning equals fun, you're a winner every time at Best Bet. I'll save you a seat, and I'll see you down here at Best Bet St. Augustine.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
The rundown of shows that we have here in the fall, and well, they're going to start falling off sooner rather than later because the fall is almost turned into winter. Jags Report Live, we still have that, of course, after the game. We'll keep that one around. Jaguars All Access coming up on Thursday. Working on a guest still. Have not been confirmed. Thursday at String Sports Brewery in Springfield. By the way, a few weeks away now from opening up the new String Sports Brewery in Jax Beach on Penman Road. And that's where Jags Report Live will move to once that location opens. On Friday, Jags Social, 7 o'clock on Fox 30 with a Liv and Chandler. Friday Night Zone Blitz. This will be the final week, we think, of the Friday Night Zone Blitz, the 8 to 12 version. We'll continue with our TV version of the Blitz over the next couple of weeks into the postseason. College football tonight is going to be a special Georgia-Florida edition as the Georgia-Florida game is in town. Talk more about that coming up tomorrow, 7:30 on CBS 47. And we'll have the post-game festivities. We'll be up in Philadelphia as well. And then there you see the rest of the shows, which a lot of them run on Sundays all day around the Jacksonville Jaguars as they go to Philadelphia and try to beat the Eagles. They're, I think, 6.5-point underdogs in that game, which is not a surprise. Let's talk to somebody funny. I didn't even bring this up. Somebody else said it at Strings last night. I said, man, I love your optimism because I'm optimistic as well. I said, well, if they beat Philadelphia, it's just like we thought they were going to lose to Philadelphia, so that they would have been just like beating Green Bay. Like, yeah, well, you better try to beat Philadelphia first. That's it feels like a game. Philadelphia and Detroit just feel like games on the schedule. Like, even if they were playing good football, I just didn't like the matchups at all with this team.
Let me ask you this. Philadelphia, Detroit, Minnesota. Which one do they have the best chance of winning?
Oh, no doubt.
You think Philly?
No, Minnesota.
Oh, Minnesota. Minnesota, gotcha.
Yeah, I've had this. Now, I might be wrong. I just have a belief in Minnesota that Minnesota's played really good football.
Correct.
And unexpectedly good football. Like, Detroit's played really good football, and they were expected to play good football. So I think Minnesota's going to cool off. They might have done that last week against the Rams. We'll see where they go from here.
But they still might have the best defense out of all those three.
Yeah, they might.
I mean, I think they do.
I'm not telling you it's an easy game.
I know. Yeah.
I just think I'd pick the one at home. And I feel like sooner or later the Vikings are going to play a game that's not really great. Now, does that come this weekend instead of next weekend? Who knows? Philadelphia game is really, I think they're actually finding themselves. They're actually getting some confidence going. And they were a little messy in the early going, didn't really know what to make of them. But that was an impressive win over Cincinnati in my eyes.
Yeah.
And Detroit's Detroit. Here's the thing with Detroit. Detroit's the one team right now, they're not going to play like they've been playing. There's no way you stay like that. You just don't in the NFL. But they don't need to. Like, the Jags playing in Detroit, I think the Lions can play like their B-minus game.
Yeah, and still get away. Yeah, for sure. I agree with that.
At home, play a B-minus game and still win. Now, if they play like an A game, like they've been playing, Jags are going to get embarrassed. Now, listen, other people are getting embarrassed right now by the Lions.
Everyone.
They ain't alone.
Yeah.
But
Cowboys
got embarrassed. The Titans just got embarrassed. The Jags are on that list. If things unfold the way they have the last few weeks for Jacksonville and for Detroit, that's a really hard game.
Yeah.
Really hard game. And listen, this goes all the way back. This goes back to yesterday's conversation. It's like, what can they do? What would they need to do? And what I don't know is, if they don't beat anybody good, I don't care if they even go on a 6-game win streak at the end of the year. Like, Houston, is okay. The rest of the games on their schedule, those teams stink.
Raiders, Titans twice.
Raiders, Jets stink, and and even Colts. I mean, the Colts are whatever. You know, they
don't do anything for any.
The Jags need to beat some good teams here, and then if they were to get to 7-8 wins and you beat a Detroit or you beat a Minnesota or you beat a Philly, and then you beat Houston, now you can be like, okay. To me, if I'm shot, I start looking at that in a wider frame, right? Well, we did beat these guys, and we beat these guys, and we all know they should have won the first couple of games. Is that worth ripping it up?
Yeah.
Like, that's what you're going to have to ask. I know everybody wants to rip it up, but I don't like the idea of ripping things up when you feel like you're in, like, every game that's played.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen the bottom of the barrel for Jacksonville. I know where it can go. I don't want it to go backwards. I understand we should reach for the mountaintops, but at the same time, you don't want to go back to the basement.
No, listen, and speaking of the basement, like, let me ask you this. You know, you play the Titans twice, and I think the Titans are the worst team in the NFL. I really do. I mean, the Carolina Panthers, it's
Patriots, Panthers.
I mean, the Patriots would be the Jets. I mean, I think it's the Panthers or the Titans are in their own little league right now in terms of the worst team in the NFL. I understand the Titans have had the Jaguars number, it seems like forever now. But do you almost expect, and it's almost wrong to expect this because like what's like what we're going through right now, but do you almost expect that the Jaguars need to beat the Titans twice? Like, I mean, it's just that's what needs to happen because they're so bad of a team. Or are we still on like, well, yeah, they're a bad team, but they always have the Jaguars number, so let's just settle for splitting with them.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think a loss to the Titans adds to the angst of Shop.
Yeah.
Because I think in his mind, it's like, okay, we haven't been able to beat them. And we lost to them last year at the end of the season where we should have beaten them. And we still can't beat them. So Doug's not fixing that. See, the one thing about Doug is he fixed all the things that they couldn't do in 22. They couldn't win a road game.
Sure.
They couldn't be an NFC team. They couldn't beat the Titans. Like, all these things. Check, 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 check. I mean, it was a storyline every week.
Yeah.
Couldn't come back from double digits down. They couldn't come back from a fourth quarter down. I mean, everything. They did it all. They, like, checked.
Prime time, right? They went to prime time?
Yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So I think Shad has that Doug in his mind. And there's a myriad of reasons why they've done what they've done over the last 11 months, and some of that's on Doug. But I think Shad would give some rope, potentially.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think those little things like that give him doubt. Because if let's just say I want to defend the coaching staff for saying, well, if Brent can say they swept the Titans, not too many guys have been able to say that.
True.
Doug's got the Titans number. Overall, like in his 3 years, he's good against the AFC South. That's a big thing. Like, can you stack some of those type of things to make a case?
Yeah.
And I'm not suggesting it's going to be that way. We'll figure it out. I think we're a long way from figuring it out. It's interesting this week. The Jags lose to the Packers, and I don't feel like anybody's calling for Doug's job like yesterday or today. Now, they did a couple weeks back.
Yeah.
But I think they just know now that you're going to play this out. I think they believe Shad's not going to pull the plug on this thing 8 games in.
But we're also prisoners of the moment, and I think, like, yeah, in that Packers game, it was competitive. I mean, given the circumstances, okay, Jordan Love goes out and everything, and yeah, maybe they should have won the game, but like at least it was competitive. Trevor showed that he had that, that game-tying drive. Obviously, the defense couldn't help him out or anything, but I think people feel a little better because, including myself, I expected the Packers to kind of blow them out a little bit. So people maybe were pleasantly surprised of how the game ended, even though it was an L.
Yeah.
I think if they go to Philly and Philly has their way with them, and it's not a competitive game, like, not as bad as the Bills or Bears game, but close to it, then I think you hear more of those rumblings once again.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's a good point. Like maybe the Packers just being a good team kind of squash that a little bit. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It didn't do enough for me, but not that I'm calling for his job. I hadn't been. I just know it's going to play out. I think there's a long story still to be told on Doug. I don't know about the Trent stuff. The Trent stuff is a different animal, but the Doug stuff is right in front of us. His job is to win games. We know this team is capable of winning games. They just look incapable at times of actually winning the games right now. So, to me, that falls on the Doug side. And hey, listen, he hired Ryan Nielsen. I know all the talk about everybody says about the bulky stuff and Nielsen. Yeah, he was in the meetings with the Ryan Nielsen. The coach hires the coach.
Yeah.
There's no way Trent Baalke hired Ryan Nielsen. You can give him somebody hey, reference, or hey, I think this is sure. Those are conversations that happen in a workplace. Doug, I don't care if Trent did. It's on Doug anyway. That's on Trent. If he let Trent hire the defense coordinator, that's on Doug.
Yeah, I mean, it's
so Doug
happened on your watch.
Hired this defensive coordinator, interviewed 8 guys.
Yeah.
So while he said yesterday in his press conference, well, yeah, I let those guys do their thing, and he wasn't trying to separate. He was just saying, because somebody asked, would you get more involved in the defense like you did a couple of years ago with Caldwell? He was like, that ain't it. I'm not those guys are the experts. Like, I let them do it. They get paid to do it. That's fair, but you hired them to get paid to do it, and they're not getting the job. So it still comes back on Doug to some degree.
Let me ask you this, though. Whose seat should be hotter? I mean, I know Doug Peterson's the easy answer, but just come with me real quick. Whose seat's hotter right now? Is it the win-losses and what the team looks like from Doug Peterson, or is it the draft and the free agent signings and then the inability to make up for what you had last year in terms of needs, and those needs haven't really been fulfilled with Trent Baalke? Who's more on the hot seat?
I feel right now in the season, Doug is on the hot seat because we're looking at 2-6.
Yeah.
And, somebody asked me this again yesterday. I think it was Ben Becker. He texted me. He's like, okay, so if the roster is good enough to win, isn't this on Doug? And you can do it both ways. Because Doug, if he was here and we were having a private conversation, he'd be like, okay, is the roster really good enough to win? Or did you guys just think it was good enough to win? I'll tell you where it's not good enough, right?
No, of course.
So everybody's going to make their case. This feels a little bit like Jack Del Rio, later years. Del Rio, I remember him saying at some point, like, he wasn't trying to crush the team because he can't do that. But he in a sideways way, he said, is the talent good enough?
Sure.
Right? Is it good enough?
Yeah.
I don't think I hear Doug say that. And Doug's going to have a hard time saying that because he went all offseason and said, yeah, we're good enough to win. We're good enough to win. We're good enough. Like, he wasn't complaining about the roster, not even in a backwards kind of way. Yeah. He was adamant, like, this is a good football team. Let's go. So I think him and Trent are on the same page, and this is a good football team. Now, they could have been wrong on player personnel in some areas. But the bottom line is this team has not lived up to how good the roster says. It's better than a 2-win football team. The Titans look like a 1-win football team sometimes.
Of course.
The Jets look better than a 2-win football team. The Carolina Panthers, they look like a 1-win football team. We know what that looks like.
Yep.
And to me right now, that makes it a hotter seat for Doug. Doug, to me, his job is to win games. At the moment, he's not getting the results that he needs the most. I think if I'm Baalke, again, I'm not taking sides here. I'm just saying Baalke's saying, Brian Thomas Jr., that's a pretty good pick.
That's really all you have to say, though.
Mitch Moore's a pretty good acquisition.
Sure. Gabe Davis?
No.
Eric Armstead?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Darnell Savage?
But you go back in years now, look at your
Mason
best players
Smith.
on offense right now. And this is where I think the Doug conversation comes in because he's an offensive guy. Your best players on offense are assembled by, sure, Doug probably had some influence, but by Trent. And obviously Trevor's a no-brainer, but the Tank Bigsby, the Brenton Strange one, the acquisition of Evan Ingram, Brian Thomas one, I get it. Gabe Davis, no, but a lot of other ones, yes. On that offensive side of the ball, that should be scoring more than 15 points a game the way they were scoring in the first month. And if they score 20 points a game, they win 2, if not 3 of those games.
And I know we talked about this before a little bit. I don't think I ever really got your opinion on it. If it's more of the same this season for the Jaguars, then it's all but a formality that, Doug Peterson has coached his last season here in Jacksonville. Is it going to be a clean ripoff, a clean break, or will they maintain Trent Baalke?
Gosh, I hope. If I could write to Shad or tell him, I'd be like, you've got to break it up.
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you this. Because a couple weeks ago this was such a hotter topic, and it feels like it is right now, that you start playing out the scenarios. And I still think I could see a scenario where, like, Doug stays and somebody else comes in as the GM.
And even though you just said that,
I know
Doug's seat's a little hotter.
I go back and forth. It's a hard deal. I think that's why everybody says fire everybody or this. I think this is a hard situation for Shad. This is going to be a tricky one, and that's why the 10 games matter. Like, I'm not sold on either thing yet. I think the 10 games matter. I just feel like the Jags, here's what I would say. If the Jags get rid of Trent Baalke, I don't have concern that they couldn't go build a roster with some other GM.
Sure.
If the Jags fire Doug Peterson, I feel like you might be letting a good coach walk. Like a guy that's won a Lombardi Trophy, that knows how to win, that's brought offense,
Brent, but so is Mike
continuity,
McCarthy.
Consistency. I get it, but that's why they haven't fired him, because they were afraid of the same thing.
Yeah,
like,
but how are they doing
Ben
right
Johnson.
now?
How's Ben Johnson going to be as a coach?
I mean,
we have no idea.
Yeah,
no idea, and he could be terrible,
or he could be fantastic. Like, I mean, this is.
But I don't know how you can't be concerned about that.
No,
I know Doug can get you this.
Listen, I'm sure Minnesota was concerned when they hired. I can't remember the guy's name though. Their head coach.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure they were concerned about it. But like, guess what? Right now, I mean, for what they had at their disposal, all the injuries, like, I think it's paying off right now. Like, listen, I understand, like, this team has been burnt so many times simply with coaches, right? And Shad Khan thinking he has the right guy and he doesn't. And I get the angst of saying, well, do you let another guy walk and then restart again? Because what happens if it's worse? Then it's like, all right, well, then you just bought yourself another 3 years of being miserable. But you can't think like that. Like, I think if you don't have what you need and goals aren't being reached, well, then you keep on swinging until you find it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes longer than expected. And maybe this comes down to Shad Khan hiring somebody in a more of like a president, like an EVP role, where it's like, all right, let me kind of pick your brain a little bit, maybe like a Tony Baselli, Well, let me go and pick your brain a little bit. What do you think? You understand the game of football. You understand this city. You understand this team. What kind of guy are we looking for?
Yeah, we put that out the Universal a long time ago, and I know that's still been out there. Of course, that makes sense about the Baselli stuff. We're going to get to that point some point where we'll have conversations about how Baselli fits into the organization. I would say this, I don't necessarily know if it's as the executive vice president. But maybe that's the title in any way. I think there is some semantics involved in there. But I do think to make that happen, I think that's a very important move for this organization. I've expressed that before. I think that's what Detroit has right now with the Spielman and others. So I've used these examples. I think that does have to be a clean slate probably to make something like that happen, where you have to just reset it. And I like what you're saying, by the way. I appreciate that. Like, you have to still swing for the fences even if you miss. But you're right. There's some scar tissue here. They've tried it, and it hasn't worked so many times. And I'll tell you this one, Austin. You remember when Doug was being hired, and I know you weren't on the show at that point. No, you were. Were we together then? Or is that...
When Doug got hired, I don't know.
We weren't doing everyday stuff at that point. But at that time, it had been leaked out that Leftwich and... I can't remember the GM's name from Arizona, who, by the way, I think just got in trouble recently or something like that. They were the ones that are going to be. People were like, hey, that's cool. You got some young guys. What he's done with Tampa. And this guy from Arizona, that's going to be a great mix. Whatever it was. I can't remember the names. And there were actual reports that they were the guys.
Yeah.
Guess what? Like, Leftwich, what is Leftwich even doing? He's not even in the league.
Yeah.
And this other guy right now, I don't think's in the league. And then in my envelope, that I put an envelope and said, I think this guy's going to be, was Hackett. I thought they were leaving Hackett. Well, how did that work out?
Well, that move didn't work out too good, Brent.
So my point is...
Viewers have never been disappointed in their entire lives.
Just look at that process where they interviewed so many people. And there was a report, and then my envelope, if they picked either one of those guys, they probably would have got it wrong, like dead wrong.
I know.
I mean, the one thing you could say about Doug is they didn't get it dead wrong. He's given them he got them to the playoffs the first year. He switched it around. There's been some growth with Trevor and other things. Like, there are wins here for Doug, even though the wins aren't coming as numerous.
Yeah.
The Jets could have done worse. That's what I have in my mind, is if you can do worse.
Yeah. So if I'm Shad Khan, Brent, and let me go ahead and put my hat in the ring right now. If I'm Shad Khan, go ahead and hire an ESG. an executive scapegoat, and I want to be that guy. Go ahead and put it all on me. If you're Chuck and be like, hey, I've tried before this process. I've interviewed. Obviously hasn't gone well. I thought we had something with Doug Peterson. Thought we had something with his team, and unfortunately, I'm left with egg in my face. I'm going to bring in Austin Lane now as the executive scapegoat. Here's what we're going to do. He's going to make all the calls, right? He's going to do the interview process. He's going to talk to coaches. He's going to talk to GMs, and it's going to be all on him. Now, if it goes bad, if it goes south, couldn't go much worse. But if it goes even more worse, guess what, everybody? Then bring your blame to me. Shad Khan, your hands are clean. Hey, executive scapegoat, man. I didn't want anything to do with this. Austin said that he had it. If it goes bad, just blame me, man. Let's go from there.
Yes. Executive scapegoat.
That's what this franchise needs, Brent. That's what this franchise needs. Someone willing to take the bullets and go for the risk.
Chad says something. Anybody lining up to hire Belichick, the Lombardi doesn't get you a pass forever. And you know what? That's fair.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. This hasn't been forever for Doug. I don't think that's his second stint, and it's year 3. So I don't think it's forever necessarily yet. I know it feels like it's been a long time already. Belichick, to me, does still sit different, and it's why we'll hem and haw about Belichick. And I'm not totally against Belichick coming in, but Belichick changes like that's like a seismic earthquake to the organization.
Oh, yeah,
and you can question whether that's good or bad. And he's also 72. So there are a couple of things here where there are real red flags on the Belichick thing, even with all the...
Yeah, but there's also some green flags. Super Bowl champion, obviously. Culture builder, has an extremely young girlfriend to probably keep him more youthful. There's some things that you got to like about the Bill Belichick thing. And once again, if you're going to hire that ESG, I might take a hard look at Bill Belichick. I'll interview him. I'm going to ask him, hey, this whole girlfriend thing, what's going on here? What do you guys talk about?
Make sure she's in the room.
Well, that's what I say. Hey, what do you guys even talk about? How does this work? And then, I'll take that criteria, I'll take the info, and I'll make an educated decision whether Bill Belichick's going to be a Jaguar or not.
The Belichick interview on the Kismet's going to be something.
Oh, man. Going to be very interesting.
No, Bill, keep your shirt on.
But overall, man, it is kind of ironic, though, that we talk about, because let's be honest, I think Mike McCarthy got that gig in Dallas, which is, obviously a very high-profile job, because he won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, because he's an offensive-minded guy. And maybe Doug Peterson, here in Jacksonville. Well, how ironic that the two guys that, maybe were hired because of the Super Bowl right now could be on the hot seat more than anybody.
Yeah. No, it's. I don't think that's the only reason you hire somebody, but I do think it carries weight.
It helps.
You've been there. I mean, being there and getting there, it carries a lot of weight, and it should carry weight. And it worked, it seemed, for the first 18, 20 months. It doesn't seem like it's working as much right now. We'll take a time out here. We are live from the High School 912 Basketball Media Days. It's about ready to wrap up over the next half hour. Things start to thin out here at the Riverside YMCA, but we're here until 1. Take a time out, come back on the Brent Austen Show right after this.
Nobody but Nimnicht. Our family has purchased 6 vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. The #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville has lots of inventory to choose from with their best price guarantee. Who gives you top dollar for your trade? Nobody but Nimnicht. Save up to $10,000 off select new GMC Sierras or get rates as low as 1.9%.
You know, I'm a truck guy. GMC Sierra, my trim level is an SLT. This one's an Elevation. Pretty good looking color as well. So here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, you have a lot to pick from. My father-in-law, he drives this, an Enclave, so I feel like that GMC in the family. 2025 is coming around the corner, which means it's almost time to close out those 2024s this summer.
You can schedule a test drive at NimnichtBuickGMC.com. And while you're there, check your trade value and customize your payment options. Nimnicht is there for you, even on Sundays. So, who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? The answer's simple. Nobody but Nimnicht. Your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
It's time for your Swoop Minute, and it was a playoff clinching week for the Ospreys of North Florida in both men's and women's soccer. Saturday night's 3-0 home win over Bellarmine for the men's team clinched their spot in the ASUN Championship Tournament, while the women's team clinched their spot in the ASUN Championship Tournament after a 2-0 win over Bellarmine Thursday night. The result for the women's team also increased their unbeaten streak to 8 straight matches. With a couple matches left in the regular season for both teams, the playoff tournaments will start in early November. In the pool, the UNF women's swimming team broke a school record in the 200-yard medley relay on Saturday. Katie Carlos, Victoria Torres, Kayla Daly, and Ashley Kephart posted a time of 1 minute, 44 seconds, and 4 milliseconds, beating the previous record by less than a second. And remember, you can find schedules, information, results, and more on unfospreys.com.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Right now, save $1,000 or more when you bundle a Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
When it comes to trucks, I know exactly what I want. And at Bozard Ford, they make it easy to get exactly that. Let's go make this truck a little more my style. With Bozard Built, I can create my perfect truck right here. Lift kit? Check. Premium wheels? You bet. Advanced lighting package? Oh yeah. The Bozard team works their magic. From bumper to tailgate, I'm making this truck mine. It's everything that I wanted and more. From the field to the gym to weekend adventures. This truck's built for my journey. Bozard Built. Customized for your lifestyle, built to exceed your expectations. Check out the inventory and available options at bozardbuilt.com. Unleash your dream ride. Customized, covered, and Bozard approved.
New to town or always been in town? Everyone is always looking for a good pizza place. Our place is Donato's Pizza. We love it and still do love it. When I tell my family I'm coming to Donato's, they say, wait a minute, you got to order some for us. So this is not all for me. Let me tell you what the Martinos get when we put an order in. Well, pepperoni pizza, we usually get more than one of these. And then there's the works, a little bit of everything. And then this is the pizza that can be polarizing for some out there. I don't know why. Hawaiian pizza. Some love it, some don't. At Donato's, you're going to love it, especially with that cinnamon sprinkled on top. Try the pizza my family likes or try your favorite. Right now, you can use the code BRENT20 and get 20% off your order. Every viewer and listener is important to us. And at Donato's Pizza, every piece is important. From fresh ingredients to the dedicated team members and you, the valued customer. Donato's Pizza, where every piece comes together for a winning combination. Jack's Beach and Mandarin locations, Donato's Pizza, every piece is important.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
And take a look at Everbank Stadium. It's kind of a dreary day here in Jacksonville. Been really good weather overall. Yesterday was beautiful. Actually kind of cool out a little bit. So we got fall around the corner, which is really nice. So hope everybody's having a good Tuesday and a good week. And as we slide into November, it is Georgia-Florida week. It's supposed to be Georgia-Florida this time around, not Florida-Georgia. So we'll give them the nod. And they are heavily favored in this football game as well. All right, a couple other things to get to. And, Kim, I know we're having we can't really communicate with Kim great. I don't know if you have the Ari Miroff. You saw this as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if we even need it. But Ari Miroff is a guy who covers the NFL on a national level.
He has a lot of Twitter followers.
That's popped out of nowhere. I don't know.
That's kind of what I base it on. Yeah, it really come out of nowhere. Yeah.
And he said something interesting about the amount of dollars and what contracts like the Jags are paying.
And we actually kind of discussed this, man. This was supposed to be like 3 or 4 weeks back. We talked about the Detroit Lions a little bit. in terms of, like, if you look at what the Lions are doing right now, they've obviously paid a bunch of their players. Amon-Ra, Jared Goff got a new contract. Penei Sewell got a new contract. And spoiler alert, they're all playing on a very, very high level right now.
You did say that. You're right. This was apparently he had talked to some people around the league. This is what he said in this show. And he brought up an interesting point regardless, even if he didn't talk to people around the league. He just said, the contract for Trevor, the contract for Tyson Campbell, the contract for
Cam Robinson,
contract for, I thought there was another one. I think you can make this for like a Foye Oluokun, even though he didn't say it, is too much for what they are.
Correct.
Like, would you agree with that? Or is that the market? Is that the way the league operates?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's the market, and I think Trevor is kind of an exception. We talked about this so many times now ad nauseum, but that's the price of a franchise quarterback, right? Like, go ahead and ask Miami. Like, are they happy that they paid Tua all that money? I think a lot of quarterbacks right now.
A lot of the quarterbacks got paid aren't playing well. Like,
exactly.
Their teams aren't performing.
Correct. So, like, that's a price to do business. Now, I think with Cam Robinson, Tyson Campbell's had the injury bug a little bit, and Foye has been hurt as well. Like, you can make cases because you are paying them a lot of money, and obviously the stats aren't there because, they haven't been on the field so much. So, I mean, I think it can go hand in hand.
All right, so this is what was said, and I think Kim does have it, so we'll play it for you just so you can get caught up on full context. And I don't know if I agree. This is the point. This is why we both brought it to the table today. I was kind of interested to hear what you had to say. I don't necessarily know if I'm agreeing. I get what they're saying, but listen to it.
It is just not great right now in Jacksonville, and the situation there, it's kind of interesting. I had one executive kind of tell me this, where this is a roster where there are a bunch of good players on really, really great contracts, which is like, that's not how you build a team. And I'm going to do this on the fly right now, but you look at that Jaguars team where they're paying Tyson Campbell a really, really good corner. They're paying him great cornerback money. Trevor Lawrence is right now good at best quarterback getting played elite quarterback money. Christian Kirk is a good receiver out for the year now getting paid really good receiver money. Cam Robinson is a really good offensive tackle getting paid great offensive tackle money. And it's like there's too many players on this team where they're good players and they're way overpriced on their salary cap. And now when you have a roster that is that uneven from a financial standpoint, this is the product you're going to get on the field. And that is kind of what we're looking at right now with the Jaguars, where they are in some games, they're getting blown out in other games. They were able to win a game in London versus the Patriots, which is a team they should beat. But that's who they are. And this team, as this executive told me, they need a hard roster reset. There's nothing you can do about the Trevor Lawrence contract. People still believe in him. I know fans are going to roll their eyes over that. But this is a team where the rosters, with the money they're putting into some of these players, it just doesn't add up to the value they should be getting. And that is part of the problem with the current product they're getting on the fields right now. So Doug Peterson, the head coach, Trent Baalke, the GM, whether it's now or after the season, their seat is very, very hot.
All right, so there you go. You get an idea of what that context was all about. I wanted to share that with you before we talked about it. But Austin already did. I mean, he actually brought this up a couple weeks ago about Detroit. There are guys that they're paying, making good money, and making plays and paying off for them. When I heard this, I kind of disagreed with it. I didn't think, or I don't think, the reason the Jags are 2-6 is because they paid Tyson Campbell, which we questioned whether he should get that kind, or the guys that are all listed here, and even Cam Robinson. Like, I get the context of it. I think it's fair to ask it this way. Did we think a bunch of good players were better than they really are when we look at their roster? In general, do the Jags just have good players, especially relative to what we've seen in Jacksonville? But by league standards, they're just okay players. They're not even really good.
Yeah.
But to me, the money doesn't factor in. The reason why I say the money doesn't factor in, Austin, is because they're not handicapped by the cap at all right now.
Yeah.
They've still got $58 million. If they wanted to do something, they could.
Yeah, but like eventually it can come back to bite you a little bit, right? And this is good business and bad business, and this is why the Lions are the Lions and the Jaguars are the Jaguars, because And listen, like, and I'll throw Trevor Lawrence in this category too, just for the sake of the argument, right? Like when you pay somebody top 5 money, you're essentially saying this person is elite, right? Like we are paying you to be elite.
Yeah.
And once again, I get the franchise quarterback's a caveat because it's all over the place, but for the sake of the argument, is Trevor Lawrence playing at an elite level right now, a top 5 level? I don't think so. I think I can name probably the quarterbacks in this league right now that I'd rather have than Trevor Lawrence. So he doesn't qualify. Does Josh Hines Allen, is he playing at a top 5 level right now? Is he playing elite? I mean, yeah, maybe you see a lot of good things on film. He's running around, but the stats say different. And like when you talk about the stats, it comes down to quarterback sacks.
Yeah.
Like, listen, and as messed up as it sounds, I would take 10 quarterback sacks right now and absolutely just getting whooped in the run game over what I'm seeing up from Josh Allen, just because that's what the stats got to say. So he's not reaching that. Tyson Campbell, is he a top 5 cornerback right now? Well, it's hard to tell because he's been out and he's been in, so.
But the answer is probably no.
It's not a fair criteria, but if we're talking about in totality, well, no, he is not right now. And then who am I missing? Oh, then Cam Robinson.
Yeah, they mentioned Christian Kirk, which I didn't see. This is the other one that bugged me. The Kirk deal actually is not a bad deal by NFL standards today.
No, it's not.
No.
So,
I mean, if you're paying Gabe Davis deals, a hell of a lot worse. $13 million for Gabe Davis, $17 million or whatever it is for Kirk. Take that. So, but again, I get it. I do think let's just say this. I think we can probably get to the same place, just do it a little bit differently on this topic. And I think this is a fair topic, and I've had some conversations with people down there in the past about this specific thing. You always say, what does the money say?
Yes.
Well, the money says they should be elite.
Yep.
The performance says they're good players. And the Jags have a lot of good players, but the Jags right now, we can't sit here and even name their best player on the team. We can have a debate against it.
That's an issue.
And that's not because they have so many good players that we're having a conversation of who's going to Pro Bowl and All-Pro.
Yeah.
And that's a fair conversation. And I also think it's fair to recognize this. Well, you can wish and hope that it turns over in a day. It doesn't in the NFL. It doesn't in sports. You can't go from here to here right away. There's a gradual process in getting there. And that's why I don't think the Jags are necessarily – I don't really ding the Jags for this. They were bad. They were at the number 1 overall pick 2 years in a row. And then they've gradually come out of that hole to raise the standard and get back to a level of mediocrity that we thought they should have at least existed for the last 15 years, but didn't. But now I think it's also fair to ask the next question. Okay, are they good enough? Like, where's good enough?
Yeah.
Now it's not good enough to be average.
No.
9 and 8 and 8 and 9 aren't good enough. It was okay for a bit. The last couple of years, to be honest with you, to some degree, it was okay relative to where you were. And now it's not. So how do you get to the place where the Lions seemingly are now? And maybe we'll live there for a long time. I will say this, though. We thought the Bengals were going there, too, and they aren't. So you can misstep. You can read it wrong. The Jags aren't the only ones doing that. But how do you get to that next level now? And I actually think, Austin, there's a tier in between being the Chiefs and maybe even the Niners and then being like that 500 where the Jags and like the Colts and teams like that live. I think there's like another rung on the ladder that it'd be nice to see the Jags. Like, where are you in that 12-win mode, 11-win mode? Not necessarily number 1 seed mode. And I thought that's where Cincinnati might be living.
Yeah.
But they're not.
No.
At all. So I think that's where Detroit is right now. I think Detroit actually still has one more step to prove that they're like, now right now they look elite. I'm saying for like the long term, are they going to prove that they are the Chiefs, the Ravens, those kind of teams?
No, I mean, they're well on the way to being that, though. But I think it just goes to show you, Brent, like, and it's no surprise there's a direct correlation, but like, look at the Vikings and how much they paid Justin Jefferson. You're paying that dude how much money? Who's the quarterback that's going to be throwing to him? It doesn't matter, does it?
No.
Whether it was J.J. McCarthy or whether Sam Darnold, Jefferson's getting his, right? So he's earning his money, and that's what it really comes down to. And I think that's what's going to separate the storied teams, the consistent teams, from the teams that are kind of on the bottom just hanging on for dear life. And right now, we find the Jacksonville Jaguars in that, where you paid a lot of high, paid contracts. You took care of their guys. No one was complaining about it. I was celebrating it.
Yeah.
Right? And now we just need better performance in terms of earning that money.
Yeah, listen, it's hard to say when you're 2-6 and everything. I get it. But the Jags, like the bad players are not as bad as they were. Like they've raised the bar, but it's still not. I'm sorry, talent-wise. Like I think we would sit here and argue like where the talent is. Again, the wins and losses, that's a separate issue right now. But I think the talent, they've raised the bar. Heck, even Doug has raised the bar to 9-8, first time in 20 years. Like, it's just still not good enough. It's okay to say you've raised the bar and then say what you say. Like, it's not good enough still.
Well, and this is the point, Brent, right, where we talk about Trevor Lawrence. Look, we need him to play a perfect game to even have a shot, it seems like, of winning a football game.
Yeah, it does seem
well,
that
like this is where, like, Josh Hines Allen comes into play. Like, hey, we got to make up for some of the deficiencies on defense. Right, like, all right, Trayvon Walker's going to do this thing a little bit. We need more from Joshua Hines Allen, maybe more from Tyson Campbell. Like, we need those guys that are getting those contracts to go, yeah, I'm playing at a pretty good level, but I need to play above and beyond because in order to have a chance, I got to be elite as well.
Yeah, you just said so. We'll take a break in a minute, but you just got us on to something. I've heard that a lot the last couple of days, and I haven't really said it as much. Like, I haven't played this. I don't think the Jags need Trevor to be perfect. I don't. In my opinion, coming out of that game, I just feel like he couldn't make the fumble. He can make the interception. I think they win the game. Okay, so that's not perfect. He wasn't perfect, but he was very good, and he was elite at times. But he made one too many, like, bad QB mistakes, quite frankly. Like, you can't do that. So that's why I don't necessarily feel like he has to play perfect. I get the sentiment. Right now, he has to overcome too much on the defensive side. I just saw somebody put out statistics of him and Mahomes, and then they put statistics of the Chiefs defense and the Jags defense, and it's night and day.
No, but this is the point where he has to play perfect, Brent, because if he doesn't fumble, if he doesn't throw the interception, the Jaguars probably win that game.
Yeah, I'm saying I still think he could throw the interception, which was still a bad play, and they still win the game. I just think you can't make two of them. You can't make two of those plays. Now, what you could still say is, Brent, that's almost near perfect. I mean, like, can you make? Well, not too many quarterbacks are turning it over twice and winning football games.
Sure.
I don't care how good they played. If you turn it over twice in the National Football League, deep in your own end, my guess is you lose like 90% of the time.
No, I understand, but I just think it's looking at like, all right, he doesn't really have a defense right now that you can play complementary football with. So a defense that doesn't really have your back. Sometimes the play calling can put you in whether it's Trevor calling the audibles, whatever the reason may be, the play calling sometimes, especially we get to the red zone, third and short, it isn't where it needs to be. So there's a lot of factors right now that seems to be going against Trevor Lawrence where, and I'm kind of in this boat. I'm kind of under this caveat saying, unless he plays that perfect game, which I'm not saying it's fair because no quarterback should play a perfect game in order to win, right? Like, this is where the team comes into play. But you get this sense now that if he isn't firing all cylinders and putting up a perfect quarterback rating, they're not going to win.
Yeah.
They're not capable of winning.
Again, I understand what you guys are saying. And what most people are saying is this really comes back to the defense.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
because, I just don't. I think Trevor's playing with some pretty good stuff on offense right now. Like, the offensive line's playing well. Bixby's running well. He's got Brian Thomas Jr. I know he loses Kirk now, so that's going to hurt. But Ingram's making plays for him. I mean, the other day, these guys are also making plays. Bixby's making plays. The offensive line's making plays. Ingram's making plays. Brian Thomas Jr. is making plays. Like, they are set up pretty well around Trevor. That's why I have a hard time being like, he's got to be perfect. But I get what y'all are saying about, especially the defense. Like, I agree with everybody on the defense. Like, even though Trevor turned it over a couple times, he put you in the lead or tied the game on 2 occasions.
Yeah.
He did that, and your answer was,
help me.
Nothing.
I know.
Nothing. So I get it. I just, man, I feel like if the Jags, I don't even know what level I think the Jags need to play. I said if the Jags would be 16th, 17th, 18th best defense in the league, this team, I think, would have like at least 4 wins right now. Right now, they're the 28th, 26th, 27th, 29th kind of category on all these different metrics. You can't be there. You got to get to like 20th. If you can get to 20th in the league on these metrics, you will win games. But by the way, that's in the last month. I mean, Doug in the offense and Trevor in the offense failed miserably in the first 2 weeks of the season. The defense did that. And the offense's response was, 17 points, 13 points. No points in the second half. Fumble at the goal line. 13 points against Cleveland. Safety in our own end. They got some blame in this game, too, now.
Yeah.
Because first 2 games of the year should have been wins, the way the defense played.
Yeah.
and they weren't because of the offense. Now the last 4 weeks, recency bias, you're saying, oh, that offense is cooking, and look at the defense.
Yeah.
That's this team in a nutshell. They just can't play team-oriented football on the same Sunday afternoon or Monday evening.
Yeah.
So far through 8 games. That's why I got a headache right now.
Can we get some ibuprofen, some Tylenol over here, please? My man Brent Martineau.
One more time out to take. We'll come back. Brent Austen Show. Wrap it up from High School 912 Media Day for high school hoops in the area. As we've still got a bunch of teams, about 50 teams around the area here, boys and girls. As basketball season has arrived here in Jacksonville. By the way, college basketball season arrives too. Next Thursday, the home and season opener for the UNF Ospreys, home opener, that is, next Thursday evening at the Nest.
It's a new logo, new branding. With Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. It's hot, Florida in the summer. You can't do much to avoid it, but you can keep cool with Bold City Heating and Air. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who is coming to your house. You know they will be well trained, and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at BoldCityAC.com. Stay cool while it gets hot. Bold City Heating and Air can help. Don't get caught sweating all summer. BoldCityAC.com, and they have financing to help. New systems starting at $110 a month and $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at BoldCityAC.com. Homegrown in your hometown.
Building off a summer of terrific action at Southern Oaks Stadium, the Jacksonville Armada are looking forward to the future and the return of pro soccer in Northeast Florida. Season ticket reservations for MLS Next Pro are underway, and for just $100, you can lock in some great benefits when it comes to supporting the boys in blue. Those who make a reservation will have first selection options in the new Armada Stadium out east, near Jacksonville's downtown sporting complex, as well as access to supporter VIP events like stadium tours, open training sessions, and future meet and greets with players and coaches. You can make your season ticket reservations at jacksonvillearmada.com/ticket, and while you're there, read the very latest on the Armada men's and women's teams in action this summer. Show your commitment to the fleet with an MLS Next Pro season ticket reservation at jacksonvillearmada.com/ticket.
In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jacks team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580.
It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to Spring Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence. You can bring your party or event to Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield.
Welcome to Everbank Stadium. We call the stadium the bank. Here inside the Jaguars locker room, this is called the Vault. The Vault is a special place on game days. You can feel the energy and excitement as the Jaguars get ready to take the field. And Everbank has made a way for Jaguars fans to be a part of the action. Each home game, Everbank will select a winner and a guest to be a part of the Shadows. Be there up close and personal when the Jaguars leave the Vault to take the field. Not only that, the Vault Lounge provides a VIP pregame tailgate experience. High-end food, beverages, music, and more. Want a chance to be part of a VIP experience at a Jaguars game? Enter today at everbank.com/shadows, and you could find yourself in the shadows with the Jaguars.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Jaguars All Access coming up on Thursday. And you can watch that, I think, on Fox 30. If it's not on Fox 30, it'll be on CBS 47. Depends on the World Series. Of course, 7 o'clock at String Sports Brewery in Springfield, working on some guests. So we'll get you up to date on that, hopefully, by tomorrow. Brent Martineau, Austin Lane, back at the High School 912 Basketball Media Day. And fun day here at Riverside YMCA. It's like a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Of course, we can't hear very well.
No, not at all,
and
actually.
There's a lot of activity going on.
Yeah.
So it's loud. So I feel like maybe I'm yelling a little extra on the show today. Sorry if I am. But we've got our other guys over here doing a bunch of interviews. I mean, they must be on like 100 interviews by now.
Yeah,
we'll have
yeah.
all that on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. We've got the whole lineup today, each and every day. Don't forget to check that out. A bunch of different shows. ActionNewsJax.com, Action News Jax app. All the places right behind us you see. You can use the QR code when you're around it to just get right there. And you can also find us on the Action News Jax Now Smart TV app. So all those different platforms where you can see our coverage and content each and every day, 24 hours a day. That's why we call it the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Hey, one thing we're doing, want to make sure we get everybody in the game, and hopefully we have some people that want to play in the game. We're giving away a $1,000 Beards Diamonds gift certificate.
Yep.
And the only thing you have to do is send us your Halloween costumes, like a best of, and we'll get to pick a winner out of the best of. So it doesn't have to be like this year's.
Yeah.
Any year. It could be when you're at 10 years old or whatever else.
Of course.
So send us in, you know how to get to us, whatever way you want to get to us, and let us know that you did. And you'll be part of the, maybe a winner for a $1,000 Beards Diamonds gift certificate.
Without a doubt. And like, listen, maybe you're trying to get engaged eventually here. Maybe you want to put a down payment on a nice ring. Maybe you want a nice stocking stuffer for mom or somebody out there. Like, there's plenty of possibilities that you can use with this gift card, man. Beards does a great job. And keep in mind, like, listen, all you got to do is just send in a picture of a Halloween costume. It doesn't really cost you anything at all. So why not try to do it?
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably make fun of them a little bit, but we're
probably going to roast you depending what the costume is, or you might get some props. Who knows?
You could get some props. And you're right. That's free money, and that's no joke, $1,000. So that could be a really nice Christmas gift along the way. Make sure you do that and check it out. Hey, yesterday in New York, the Yankees lost. The Knicks lost. The who else was playing? Was hockey playing?
Was it the Rangers or something? The Islanders?
Somebody. They all lost.
Okay, yeah,
they were all playing in New York, and I think the MLS team lost.
Yeah, Mets are still not in it anymore, so that's I'm celebrating it, man.
The Giants and Jets this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's a rough weekend in New York.
Rough week for New York, and I mean, listen, once again, it's still really early in the NBA season, but I think have you seen the Knicks fan base that are already like, what? Because you go from last year of almost going to the finals, Jalen Brunson gets a little banged up, and okay, you just miss out. So this is going to be the Knicks year. They get KAT, and all of a sudden it's like off to a little bit of a rough start. Still early, but they're hitting the panic button there in New York right now.
Yeah, the other side of the country, LA, is feeling pretty good about themselves. Did the Lakers win last night?
I'm not sure if they won last night, but LeBron's playing. Hey, listen, at this rate, LeBron might play till he's 60 years old.
Playing pretty well.
Dude's dropping triple doubles.
Suns ended up coming back. Okay. When I looked, they were up, but they're 3-1, so a nice start to the year. Yeah. And then obviously the Dodgers are the Dodgers. So much worse when all these like big cities get to celebrate.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
Milwaukee won a few years ago. That was better.
That was cool.
Right?
I mean, I think overall, obviously for the markets, it's good because the viewership and everything. But yeah, just for like the genuine love. I enjoy seeing the small. I enjoyed when the Toronto Raptors won it out of nowhere.
Yeah, those are fun.
And Kawhi Leonard in his New Balance shoes was given the most boring post-game interviews. That to me was enjoyable. I love it when the Joker wins an NBA championship and gives the most boring. Oh, I have to go to this parade now. I enjoy that because it's so out of the ordinary. So I celebrate it.
Hey, speaking, I could get into a whole nother thing here, but Kawhi Leonard. When we go most forgotten athletes, Kawhi Leonard might be on the top of my list.
Of the most forgotten athletes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't even know he's playing.
Yeah. Well, he's been hurt for.
He hasn't been playing.
Yeah, he hasn't been playing. Yeah.
But I mean, that guy went from the mountaintop and carried Toronto.
Yeah, it's wild.
And in his prime, it's not like he got old.
I know.
So it's really weird to see athletes just in today's world. It just almost like a non-factor. Nobody's even talking about it.
Yeah, it's wild how, because I'm reminded Vince Carter, right? Vince Carter seemed to be relevant for, he had the whole dunk contest, all that. But that dude was in the league for how long, still being in conversations. Kawhi Leonard literally just disappeared from the face of the earth.
I'll give you another one. I saw something on yesterday. Sauce Gardner. We crowned that guy the next Deion Sanders.
I mean, was going into the season as the best cornerback in the league.
I don't know how he's even playing, but my guess is he's not playing that great.
No. Well, he got benched. Supposedly got benched a little bit for a couple of series
in that Patriots game.
Yeah, not the Patriots. A while ago. Yeah.
Did you see the story where Trevon Diggs came out to the reporter?
Yeah.
and he saw a tweet right after the game. We're gonna go in 60 seconds, but he saw a tweet right after the game, and he came out and the reporter was right there, and he kind of had words with him.
Yeah, I saw that.
Funniest thing about that story, that guy, the reporter, he interned for us back in Albany, New York. He does a great job. Mike Leslie, he does a great job.
Look at him now.
Has a great career going. Yeah. And he made some headlines.
Carrying on that Brent Martineau tradition of getting blocked, for sure. There ain't no way he's not going to get blocked on Instagram and Twitter.
Trevon Diggs still in uniform looking at social media right when he walks in the locker room. Dude. Don't make it harder on yourself.
And you wonder why, let's focus on the task at hand, please, Cowboys.
We'll see you on CBS 47, Fox 30 tonight. Thanks for hanging with us on the Brent Austen Show. Back at it tomorrow from the studio.